Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, it's Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception. Along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's claws, the birth of Nimrod. And not the son of God. To you was kinda odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai.
Hebrew Israelites, Kwam Yashala.
It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Shalom, Israel.
Shalom!
Very powerful and strong. Shalom to everybody online. Welcome to another live class with the Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge. We're located at 8524 South Braesville Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77071. Our class times are Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 10 p.m., Friday from 6 to 9 p.m., Saturday morning Sabbath class from 10 to 2 p.m. If you're local in Houston, feel free to join us. If you're in the San Antonio area, we have a school at 4219 Centergate Street, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Also, we have a school in Albuquerque, New Mexico at 7710 Menial Boulevard, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87110. If you like those class times and days, please contact us and we will get you that information. Also, look out for our school that we're going to be opening up in Virginia, in Norfolk, Virginia. Trying to get into the building on the 15th of next month, so look out for that. A lot of different blessings that the Most High has given us. So, new school in Albuquerque, new school in Virginia. All right. So when we get those class times. When we get those class times from Virginia, we'll put them out so that everybody can know what's going on. You can watch us here live under ISBHPK or Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge. That's live on YouTube. That's also live on Facebook. We also have the ISBHPK San Antonio YouTube page. We have the ISBHPK Norfolk, Virginia classes for Virginia. So when they get that started, so make sure you like, share, subscribe to those channels, as well as the Hidden Truth, the 5 Minutes of Wisdom, the ISBHPK Kids class, so you can subscribe to all those on YouTube. All right, we also have our Hidden Truth cable show every Saturday at 8 o'clock. You can stream it live on hmstv.org, or you can watch it live on Comcast local channel 17 if you're in the Houston metro area. Okay, every Saturday at 8. And what we do, we record those, we broadcast them live, we record them, and then we upload them to our YouTube channel after we edit them, okay? So if you don't catch it live, we will upload it to our YouTube, okay? You could also watch the previous kids classes at ISBHPK Kids, and we're actually revamping the kids class format, time, and day. So when we get that together, we will let you know. All right, if you want to contact a priest, you can contact Priest Kazakia at 281-707-2737. You can contact me at 303-557-8979. You can also email us at isbhpk@isbhpk.org. All right. Please text only during class. The sisters have Israel wear. All right, so if you like any garments made, you can go on Facebook, search Israel wear, 2 words, and you just put in a request for whatever you want. The sisters will make it. if it's in their power. They do some real good work. So, all the different garments you guys see us wear up here, all the Passover garments, they make those from scratch. So again, let us know what you want, and they will get it made. Send them up on Facebook. The brothers also have an oil business, all right, that helps support the school. So we're located in the malls out here in Houston, also in Virginia. So if you want more information, you want to help out that way, you want to get some good body oils, good body butters, all natural soaps, bath bombs, hit us up. We got the website coming soon. It's on the cusp of being live. All right, she's just putting in some final details. Oh no, it looks good. Yeah, it looks real good. She's been working on it. She's been really putting a lot of work into it. So, we got a lot of products. So just making sure that we have all the products up there and everything labeled the right way, and make sure the website's working seamlessly. So that's on the cusp. It's almost here. All right, be patient. I know some brothers out of state, they're really looking forward to getting some orders in. So be patient with us on that. All right, so that's the oil business, Israel Wear. Any donations you want to give to help for any one of the schools that I mentioned, you can send them to any one of those addresses. All right, anything that you want to send, any books, they're going to be needing books out there in Virginia. I know Mashaba out in Albuquerque needs some books, and Bibles and dictionaries and pens and papers. So whatever y'all want to donate monetarily, you can send that through the Google Wallet or the Wells Fargo. If you old school, you want to write a check, you can mail that to any one of the schools. All right, everyone that's been helping out, we appreciate it. We got the Virginia building because of brothers and sisters helping us out and donating. We know you go out, you work hard, but we can't do a lot of the things that we do. It gets done, but it's not as easy. That unity, when we come in unity and we do things in a unified way, the Most High, man, He blesses that unity. So we definitely want to thank y'all for those that helped out, and even the ones that are still going to help out with, the ones that said they were going to help but haven't gotten a chance to get it in yet. We appreciate it. Again, any books, pens, papers you want to send, you can do that. Not a problem. Google Wallet. Yeah. Oh, one more thing. The Blog Talk Radio the Blog Talk Radio show by Mashaba. That's every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30. That's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba. Almost forgot that. So yeah, and then you can catch them live also on Facebook. I forget what they're going under, what they broadcast under. But we share it. But yeah, they're on Facebook doing class also until they get their YouTube up. All right, so you got different avenues for this truth, man. We're all the same school with 4 different locations, right? Albuquerque, San Antonio. Yeah, we got 4 different locations, 4 different different YouTube channels. So it's 4 different ways to get the truth just from one school. And obviously you got all the other schools out there doing their thing too. So this truth is definitely, the word is definitely going out. It's crazy though, when you look at, I look at my family, I probably got 300-400 family members, right? But only 2 of us know the truth. And only 1 of us follow it. Yeah. I got 300-400 family members that are living. You gotta see that. Some of them don't even know the truth. Some of them never even heard. So, the truth is getting out there, and the Most High is doing His work to get it to everyone. Everybody wants their family to be saved, and we all want that for our families. Ain't nothing wrong with that, but some of us got to realize that it just ain't their time yet. But the word is getting out. We're doing our best to make sure that the word gets out, man. So that's gonna be it for the announcements. I was gonna go right into this class, man. It's a lot of reading, but it's a pretty good class. And I hate to start a class like this and not finish, because the end is one of the most important parts, the ending, the way it ends, and just going through it. So what we're going to be dealing with today, what we're going to be talking about and examining is, we're going to be examining the sufferings of Christ, man, and really putting things into perspective of what Yahweh Shai had to deal with before he was crucified, right? All the time that he was teaching, or when he was rolling with the apostles, all the different things that he had to deal with and suffer through just to be crucified. He had to suffer to suffer. So we're going to be looking at that, and then, we can parallel that with our lives and really, 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 really put things into perspective about our own sufferings and about our own, the things that we go through that we sometimes we wish we didn't have to go through. Remember, the scriptures say through much affliction, we should enter into the kingdom. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through and just look at these scriptures, man, and really, really examine a few different instances where Yahweh Shai, man, he's the ultimate, he's the ultimate example of suffering wrongfully and following through with his word and bearing the burdens and all these different things that the scripture is going to say. So what we're going to do, somebody go to Hebrews 2 and verse 9. Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 9. And it's important to look at this. I know, how many of y'all seen Passion of the Christ? Right? You see Passion of the Christ? Like, I remember I seen it when it came out. It was a while ago. I just remember the parts where he was getting whooped. I don't remember any of the backstory or the leading up. And I always think, and I always look at the Passion of the Christ of how graphic it was, right? Very graphic movie. And I'm like, they didn't even do Christ justice in really what he went through. Because they weren't able to examine, they gave us the physical. They gave us the physical that he went through, the lashings, the beating, but what about the mental? What about the spiritual part of what he dealt with as a man, right? That had a free will to either go through what he went through or not. As a man that, he could have easily just reneged and be like, yeah, I ain't doing this. These niggas is off, right? As a man that was being rejected and scoffed at and just shunned by his own people, he could have been like, man, what I'm going to die for y'all for? Could have been easy for him to just say, you know what, I'm not doing this. Let me go chill over here on the beach. Let me go kick it in the Jordan River over here somewhere. Could have been easy for him to just say, you know what, I'm not going to fulfill that, man. Right? So that's part of what we're going to do. We're going to go into that different type of suffering that Yahweh Shai went through. Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 9. Read that.
Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 9. But we see Yahweh Shai, who is made a little lower than the angels.
Right, so we got to establish the point that Yahweh Shai was made a little lower than the angels. He wasn't an angel. He didn't come as some supernatural being. He came as a man. Go ahead.
For the suffering of death.
Right, because we know angels don't die. So he was made purposely lower than the angels for the suffering of death. Go ahead.
Crowned with glory and honor.
Read.
That he, by the grace of the Most High, should taste death for every man.
Right, so that death and that honor came because he fulfilled his destiny. He fulfilled his path. He went through with the suffering. Right? Read on.
For it became him, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things.
Right?
In being many sons in bringing many sons unto grace.
Right, so through that death, he was able to bring the nation of Israel into grace. So we all know he died so that you wouldn't have to. Right? Go ahead.
To make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering.
Perfect through what?
Through suffering.
See, the perfection, the glory, the grace, it comes through the suffering. It comes through. That's how he was crowned. That's why he was crowned. Because of the suffering he put up with. Now, what are we all working for?
Salvation.
Right. But are we all working to get that crown?
God.
We all working to where when Yahushua delivers Israel, he's handing out crowns.
God.
Like the scriptures say. That's what we want. We want that crown of salvation. But that crown is representation of something. You don't get that crown. You don't get that crown if you don't do certain things. Go to Romans chapter 8, verse 17. Yes, sir.
Could you repeat what that scripture was again?
Tell them where you at. The first one.
Hebrews chapter 2, verse 9.
Did you read 10? No, just
We read 9 and verse 10.
Come.
Romans 8 and verse 17. And if y'all got questions, man, ask them on the topic. It's all good. I'm going to go nice and slow. But I'm going to try to get everything out. Romans 8 and 17. Read that.
And if children, then heirs. Heirs of the Most High.
Right, see, we're the children, the sons that Yahushua brought to the Most High. He considers us heirs. We're heirs of the kingdom. We're heirs of salvation. It says we're heirs of God, right? Heirs of the Most High. So we're heirs to that throne.
Inherited.
Right, back to our heritage. We don't inherit the kingdom. We don't take it though. But it said, read it again.
If children, then heirs.
Right.
Heirs of the Most High.
Read.
And joint heirs with Christ.
See that? It says we're joint heirs with Christ. What does that mean? What does that mean that we're joint heirs? Well, that means that we got to do what Christ did to get that crown. We got to do what he did. We got to, and I'm not saying that you got to go get a Roman to whoop you. You got to go get a Roman man to scourge you. I'm not saying that. But every man got to bear his own burden. Right? Every man got to bear his own cross. So whatever your burden or cross may be, you got to take that up and bear it. It might not be to get whooped or killed in the streets or stoned or martyred. It might not be that. But it might be you got to bear the things that you got to deal with as far as your spirit. You got to bear those things. You got to pick up you got to pick up those spiritual weapons and fight the negative spirits that try to come at us. So that's all it is right now. Just be spirits. It says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High. God. Right? So we know that we got to pick up the spiritual weapons, the spiritual burdens, and bear those things. Right? Go ahead, read on.
If so be that we suffer with him.
Wait, we have to do what?
Suffer with him.
Yeah, it says we got to suffer with him. We got to suffer with Christ to be an heir to the throne. Or else Christ automatically got the throne. He automatically got his crown. He did his job. Someone else is going to be the heir and you're going to be left out. So it says we have to do what?
Suffer with him.
Come on.
That we may be also glorified together.
Right, because that's what it was about. Yahushua was that example on how to go through the persecutions, the sufferation, the mental anguish, the physical torment. He was that example. He said if we suffer with him, we'll reign with him. Go to 2 Timothy 2 and verse 12. Just a little intro on if you want that crown, man, if you want the glory comes through the suffering. There's no other way to get it. There's no other way to achieve the glory and the crown. And it's going to tell us right here, 2 Timothy 2 and verse 12.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. If we suffer, we shall also reign with him.
It says if we do what?
If we suffer, we shall also reign with him.
Right, because ain't that the whole point? That Yahushua sits on the right hand of the Most High, and that we inherit the kingdom with Yahushua? Ain't that the whole point? Now we know Yahushua is going to be over us in the kingdom. He's going to be our Lord, right?
God.
And we're going to be there to serve him. But we know that in order to even get there, we got to go through what this life has to offer. You know, what do they say? Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, screw fears, right? Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want dead. But see, through that suffering, through that death, that's where the glory comes. Y'all get that, right? So not only do we have to suffer whatever it is that comes our way, but we got to overcome. We got to overcome the suffering. We got to overcome. Remember we went and we dealt with sorrow and those things in the last couple of classes? And that sorrow was that mental anguish, right? We got to overcome that. And we went through and we showed that the word was going to help us and heal us, right? Go to Revelations 3:21. Revelation chapter 3, verse 21.
Come. Revelations chapter 3, verse 21. To him that overcometh.
To him that what?
Overcometh.
Come on.
Will I grant to sit with me.
Yeah, so it wasn't just that you suffered things, but you had to not let the things that you suffered overtake you. You couldn't let the things that you went through pull you back into what? The world? Pull you back into Egypt? The things that we suffered as we go through, those were the foundational things that built that virtue in you. It built that purpose. It built that reason to fight even more. Go ahead.
In my throne. Even as I also overcame.
You see that? Yahushua said, he said, even as I also overcame, because he didn't just suffer, but he overcame the world.
God.
He overcame the sufferings of this world, the things that this world had to offer. He overcame the loss. Think about it, man. We come into this truth, and what happens? Family members start peeling off, right? Best friends start dipping off. You start losing a lot of people. And what that does, that pulls a lot of people backwards. Because they can't deal with that loss. Hey, man, can you ask her to turn the fans on? A lot of people can't overcome that loss, man. So it pulls them. A lot of people can't overcome the fact that they got to give things up, that they got to lose for Christ. They got to lose their life. A lot of people are like, nah, I'm not ready for that. So read it again.
From the top or that part?
Yeah, read.
Come. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne. Even as I also overcame.
Come on.
And am sat down with my Father in his throne.
Right, go to Revelations 21 and verse 7. So it's not just that Yahushua suffered, but he overcame. He didn't let the things that he suffered deter him from his path. Read.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things.
Wait, what's going to happen?
Shall inherit all things.
Yeah, see, the ones that overcome the lust, the women, the ones that overcome their own negative thoughts, it says they're going to inherit all things. We're going to be the ones that inherit all things if we overcome the things that the world has taught us from our inception, from birth. If we overcome that old man, that old woman, if we overcome these negative spirits. The scriptures say, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good.
God.
So how do we overcome? Well, it's with the good. It's with the wisdom. Read it one more time.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 7.
Right.
He that overcometh shall inherit all things. And I will be his power.
And I will be his what?
His power.
Come on.
And he shall be my son.
See that? Now, this is how we get back into that being called the sons of the Most High. Children of God. Because we went through what this world had to offer. And we got through it. We didn't let it pull us back. Because what's the point of suffering in the world and then suffering in the truth and then getting pulled back into the world. Because there's two ways to suffer, right? There's two ways to suffer. And, it's really, let me make the decision on the way I want to suffer. What are the things that I want to suffer? How am I going to suffer? Because you can, again, suffer in the world, but you can suffer in the wisdom. But we know that the suffering in the wisdom, you get that crown of glory. In the world, when you suffer, it brings death, it brings anguish, it brings sorrow. Because a lot of people that are suffering in the world, think about that, man. They don't even know why they're going through what they go through. They don't even know how to, it says oppression maketh the wise man mad. Right?
God.
How many of them are really mad because they're being oppressed? The sad part is, they're more mad because they're trying to ban abortion. They're mad because they're not able to kill babies. Think about that. They're out here protesting and going damn nuts because they're trying to stop abortions. These people are mad. These people are out of their damn minds, man. They're being oppressed. The scriptures say we oppress all different ways. But our people don't recognize that. The only time they feel the oppression is if it hits close to home. Or if something happens to them directly, but they're not looking at us as a whole. So and the thing is, they are suffering. A lot of our people are so ignorant. A good day to them is waking up and getting high. Being able to being able to drink all day, being able to binge drink, being able to hit a few couple of blunts. That's a good day to most of our people. Or I went to work and I ain't had no problems. Or I was able to drive my car and not get shot at. Or I went on a shooting spree. I was gangbanging. Today was a good day, right? Look at Ice Cube. Today was a good day. Well, what was he talking about? Mama cooked a meal with no hog, no barking from the dogs, right? He was naming all these things like that. That's a good day to you?
Right.
Crazy.
That ain't no good day. Like, what the hell? A good day is not getting shot at? So we got to see, man, that the suffering, our people, they don't even see that they're suffering. They're not conscious. They're not conscious of their surroundings and the evils that are around them. They're not conscious of the good that's around them. So what happens is they're suffering, but they're suffering not for righteousness' sake. Go to 1 Peter 4 and verse 12. Because there are different ways to suffer. There's two ways to suffer. Now we got to examine and ask ourselves. You suffered in the world, man. You suffered torments and sorrows and pain and loss in the world. But what was your remedy to get past it? What was the remedy to fix it? What was the understanding of what you were dealing with? See, you didn't get that until you got into the wisdom. Oppression maketh the wise man mad. Only a wise man is going to be able to sit back and really look at his situation circumspect and say, damn, these niggas is killing us through the water, through the air, through the food. How mad does it get you when you drink some damn water and almost die? Or eat some pizza and almost die, or eat whatever and almost die? Come on, man, that should upset you, but our people ain't thinking about that. Because they got blunts, they got weed, they got drug money, they got drugs. They're like, I'm good, but they're still in a state of suffering. Read that, 1 Peter 4 and 12.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you.
Why? Because the wisdom, the scriptures, Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter, told us it would happen. It told us about the trial. Acceptable men forged in the furnace of adversity. Go ahead.
As though some strange thing happened unto you.
Come on.
But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Yahushua HaMashiach's suffering.
You see that? You say you got to rejoice in them sufferings. The things that are going on with you, you got to rejoice in these things, but only a man that's conscious of his situation. Only a wise man is going to be able to sit back and say, wow, I'm actually suffering for Christ's sake. Why? Because I'm not out selling drugs. I'm not out killing, dope dealing, beating my woman. I'm actually applying wisdom. So I got to be suffering for something. But what is it? Am I suffering for the wrong? Am I suffering like these people in the world? Did Yahweh Shai suffer like the people of the world? Read on.
That when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be also glad with us. Excuse me.
Read again.
When his glory shall be revealed,
Read.
Ye may be glad also with exceeding joy.
Right, because you go through those sufferings, you go through those trials, that fiery furnace. Once you get dipped into the fire and pulled out, you're like, damn, Barakatah Yahweh, I made it. And then you're able to sit back and examine it and say, damn, the wisdom is what got me through this. Many of brothers go through trial and suffer, but you know what makes it worse? You know why? You know what makes it feel like you're suffering and not for Christ's sake? Because you don't use the wisdom to get through. So now when you're going through your battle and you're using the wisdom of the world, it makes it that much harder to get by. It makes it that much harder for you to want to go through a trial ever again. You're like, man, I don't want to go through that ever again. I don't want to go through no trials and tribulations. But what makes going through the trials a little bit easier is the wisdom. The understanding on why it's necessary. Just like Yahweh Shai, man, when he suffered and he went through all that beating and all the things he went through, what was on his mind? Himself? What was on his mind?
His purpose.
His purpose. His purpose, his people. Not his will, but the will of the Father. That was always on his mind. In a roundabout way, it was the wisdom. The wisdom of why he had to go through it. You got to see it, man. For the 3 years he rolled around, what was he looking at the whole time? What was he able to look at and see why it was necessary for him to go through what he went through? What was the example? Wasn't it not the people? Were not the people the example of why he had to suffer? Right, so aren't those same people the example of why we got to go through our trials? You should look at your brothers and sisters in the world and be like, damn, I got to go through this for them. Right. And I'm going to go through it because they need it. They need the example of it's okay to go through things and there's wisdom to get you through it. You're not going to be broken. It's okay to suffer for righteous. It's okay to lose for a good purpose. See, our people would rather lose and suffer as damn criminals. But they don't want to suffer as righteous. So it's important for us to go through that fiery trial, to suffer, just like Yahweh Shai, so that our people can have us for the example, because they're our example of why we should go through it. Every time you turn on damn social media, you see the chick popping and twerking, here's your example of why you got to be a better sister, why you got to be a better example as a wife. So you can pull some ratchet little chick out of the pollution that she's in. Every time you see a bro getting shot or walking through the mall with his damn pants to his knees, talking about, yeah, baby, yeah, just stuttering his words, that should be an example like, yeah, I got to be a better man in the wisdom. Let me suffer what I got to suffer to get better for these niggas' example. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 14.
Let them know where you at.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 14.
1 Peter 4 and 14. Go ahead.
If ye be reproached for the name of Christ,
right?
Happy are ye.
You should be. We should be happy. But you know what? You know what's sad? And I just said it. A lot of our people will be rather reproached for negative. We rather reproach like, oh, you. Like I was watching some video, man, and the dude, he was making fun of rappers. Like when they get arrested, and the report's like, yeah, he got arrested with like a blunt on him and a gun. And he's like, no, I have more than a blunt. I have pounds. And I have like 50 guns. Because our people think that it's okay. They want to be reproached for negative. Like the more coke and guns I got on me, the more street cred I got.
Right.
How about the more long suffering and patience you're able to display? You get that righteous credit with Yahweh Shai. You get that credit with the Most High, but our people don't look at that. They're like, yeah, I'd rather go to jail, bruh, and live that way and get that glory. I'd rather suffer that way. But those ways are death, man. Those ways are death. Read on.
For the Spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you.
Go ahead.
On their part, he is evil spoken of.
Right? You see that? On their part, they evil. Think about it. Think about you. Go back to your family. The same ones that don't want to be around you because you know the Bible. You talk that Bible stuff too much. They sitting there hating on you because you trying to attain the glory of Christ, because you know Christ, but you can't hate on them because they drug dealing. You can't say anything about them because they in negative. But they'll come with all the negatives, like why you wearing that dress? Why you got that hair wrap? We ain't gotta wear fringes. Why you don't eat pork? Why you don't do this? Why you don't do that? They'll come with all those negatives. Read that part again.
For the Spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you.
Yeah, but only if you go through the reproaches for his sake. Only if you go through the sufferings, through the fiery trial, and think it not a strange thing, like, why am I going through this? Because Yahushua didn't think it's strange when he went through what he went through. He was telling the apostles, bro, we gonna eat, and in a few days they're gonna come get me. And Peter hopped up like, hell nah, they ain't coming to get you. Yahushua had to check Peter. Like, man, sit down, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna deny me anyway. Right? Go ahead.
On their part, he is evil spoken of.
Right?
But on your part, he is glorified.
How? How is he glorified on our part? How, Lamont? How do we glorify the Most High on our part? What is it saying?
As in, we're glorified by going through the same sufferings inside the spiritual realm that he's going through.
We're glorified by going through our battles, by going through the suffering that, whatever it is. Again, ain't nobody in here gonna get lashed, scourged, beard. You might not get your beard ripped out.
God.
We ain't getting hung on crosses. They ain't doing that no more. But there's still other things that, you know why this is important? Because why do men leave the wisdom? Why do men leave the truth? Because they're going through things and they don't want to be aware of what they're going through at the end of the day. I want to go back into the world where I was a zombie. I don't want to be made aware of why I'm suffering. And because I am suffering righteously, I'm not getting the reward. I'm not getting something tangible. Remember, it said if you suffer with him, you'll be an heir in the kingdom. So, when is that going to happen? You ain't going to get that tomorrow unless he comes tomorrow. So, what we fight for ain't something that you can just go and stick a card in the ATM and just get some cash. It don't work like that. What we fight for, you can't just walk to a pawn shop and buy. You see that? So most men, a lot of men, when they get the wisdom, women, when they get the wisdom, they're like, man, what I'm suffering for ain't real. It's not tangible. Remember, the Jews require a sign. The Greeks seek after wisdom. So if I can't touch it, taste it, feel it, it ain't real to me. Because we've always been taught, seeing is believing. Right? We've always been taught that. But then the sad part is when you do show our people, they're like, nah, I don't believe that. You show them Christ is black, they're like, nigga, that, it was written like that because that's how he looked. But they'll find some roundabout way to say, nah, it didn't really mean that. But I'm showing you. See, because they can't touch it and grasp their mind around it at the moment, I can't follow that. I can't deal with that. So what happens? I gotta pull back and go deal with rewards that I can actually touch. Like money, right? Let me go back and get the money. I can feel that, I can rub it, right? I can put that in my pocket. I can go to the ATM and withdraw it. I can feel that. The women, I can feel the women. The car, I can grip that steering wheel. The nice house, I can put the key in and turn it. The clock, I can punch. See, we search after these tangible things that are vain. Vain, tangible things where, and they're only temporary. Where when you look for that spiritual glory, it's everlasting. We good?
Oh, I'm trying to still.
Oh, okay. What's up? You got your hand up?
Yes, sir. You know, like just like you're saying, they want to store up their riches on earth because
Right.
that's something they can touch, they can see, and it's like storing up riches in heaven. What am I ever gonna see that?
Right.
And really, when you think about that, that's the same mindset that Esau was in.
Yeah. He was like, bro, birthright.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I need to eat now.
God.
It's that greed. It's that covetousness. But you suffer for that. Lamont.
Oh, I was just saying, basically, the scripture when it goes in how you feed the birds, the bees, and all these
Matthew
things.
6.
It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
we're more than them. So it's just like, why don't we have that faith? Why don't we have that endurance to actually understand that God is a spiritual giant that's watching over us rather than us going and try to get everything for ourselves?
Right. I mean, but that's the problem with man. And that's the problem with man without wisdom. Man without wisdom thinks that he controls everything and he can do whatever he wants. Not understanding that the Most High, think about it, the Most High gives us enough air on the planet for everybody to breathe. He gives you enough water for you to drink. He gives you enough of this, enough of that. He gives it to you, but our thing, man is never satisfied. So, but we never look at things, I don't want to say we never look at things, but for the most part, the ones that fall out of wisdom, they stop looking at things in the spirit, obviously. They start looking at what they can touch, feel, hold. So they lose the glory. But it says, but on your part, he is glorified. On your part, because your part is to go through your trial. That's how we glorify Yahushua. Because you go through the trial, you use the wisdom. It shows that the wisdom works. Now you're the example of the others. Read on.
Verse 15.
Uh-huh.
But let none of you suffer as a murderer.
Right, so verse 12 to verse 15 is telling you that there's one way to suffer. Go through your trials. Use the wisdom. Glorify the Most High in Christ. But then he comes back and says what?
But let none of you suffer as a murderer.
Yeah, you don't want to suffer as a murderer, man. You don't want to suffer as a man that hates his brother. Go ahead.
Or as a thief.
As a what?
A thief.
Come on.
Or as an evildoer.
Read.
Or as a busybody in other men's matters.
Yeah, this is not how you want to suffer. This is not how you want to go through this life. You don't want those repercussions. Most importantly, like it says in Wisdom of Solomon, they did evil in their life and didn't realize they were going to suffer for it after death. You don't want to be one of those people oblivious to what's going to happen to you in the afterlife. So go through the trial. Watch. Read on.
Yet, if any man suffer as a Christian.
As a what?
As a Christian.
Right. If he suffers as a follower of Yahushua, right? We know it ain't the Christians like Joel Osteen and T.D. Jakes type Christian. Creflo get more money. We know it's not that type of Christian where the scripture says they love me in word, but their heart is ever from me. We know it's not that type of Christian. Right? We're the Christians in word and in deed. Word and doing. We hear it, we speak it, we do it. We go through it. He said if you suffer as a Christian, come on.
Let him not be ashamed.
Why? Why not be ashamed? But ain't it shameful what Christ went through? Ain't it shameful for a grown man to get his clothes ripped off and beat and punched and kicked and spit? Ain't it shameful for you to go to your own hometown and not even be accepted? Imagine if you went back to Louisiana right now. Wouldn't you have some homeboys that's like, oh, Ray, it's good to see. What up, Wallet? Right? They be ready. They be ready, right? They be ready to see you. Right? If you went back to New York, I would die. You got family, right? They'd be happy to see you. Cali, right? You go back to Cali, they be ready. Right? Cali again. You from Houston, but like a different part. So I'm sure if you went down and they'd be like, oh yeah. It's shameful, man. It would be a shame if you went and visited your family and they were like, nigga, please, we ain't messing with you.
Yeah, because even the last time I went back, it's like you start trying to talk to them and preach to them and show your new example of who you're not the man that you used to be, and they're like, Negro, please.
So they're looking at like, oh, you ain't balling like you used to.
Yeah, you doing bad. You look like you hurting.
You look like you hurting. You look like you ain't got it no more. Like, what's up? Like, what's up with that Christ thing? Y'all supposed to, right? Mm-hmm. They looking at those things, not realizing that proving ourselves ministers of the Most High, you gotta go through losing, suffering, fasting. You gotta go through these things. But they're like, nigga, hell nah. I'm about to get my money. But what does that do? That brings the glory to us. That brings the glory to Yahweh Shai. You had your hand up.
That's what I was going to say. It's that change, that transformation that we go through, that we're actually happy with, because we know that through that transformation, it's bringing that glory to the Most High, because it's the Word that's transforming us. Yeah. They say, dang, you're different. There's something about you. I don't like that. I want the whole
right, but what they're looking at is the carnal you. Yeah. They're not looking at the spiritual you.
Right.
And you know what's crazy though? I remember when I went back to Colorado, right? A little bit after I got here. I had to go back to Colorado to handle some business. And I went out with, there was another brother that used to be in the truth. Mm-hmm. Went out with him. And I think like a couple of my cousins or something. We went out and just ate some wings. And, you know, I'm sitting there just rapping to everybody, just talking. And they're like, there's something different about you. They're like, man, what's going on with you? And they already knew about the truth and what I'm into. But they're like, damn, there's something different. Because I wasn't the same. I'm not the same person. I carry myself in a different way. So, you know, when you're not dealing with the wisdom, you're a brute beast. So you just move like one. But now with the wisdom, you're able to you walk circumspectly, and you look at who's looking at you, and you remember, wait a minute, everybody's watching me. I represent Christ. So let me move a certain way. Let me move Christ-like. And people, they see it, and they're like, oh, damn, there's something different about this guy. But some people just look at, oh, yeah, you ain't got the same sneaker, you ain't got your sneaker game done fell off.
Yeah.
Your sneaker game fell off, or this game, or you ain't living in the same big house, or whatever the case may be. They're looking at the carnal and not seeing the spiritual growth in a man because of what we do go through. Those sufferings build virtue, man. Those sufferings that we go through, those trials, those tribulations, that's what builds you up. That's what builds up that armor.
Another point just with the suffering and the virtue that the suffering builds, I remember when I was in the world, I had a standard.
Right?
That standard, quote unquote standard, right? Things I wouldn't do, places I wouldn't go to,
right?
Handbags I wouldn't carry, and so on and so forth. But it was a carnal standard.
Right.
And so now, through the suffering, my standard, of course, is a spiritual standard. It's that virtue, that high moral standard that we have now for the Most High and representing is way, way different.
Because you realize it ain't about handbags. It ain't about vehicles and shoes. It ain't about the carnal things. It's about, let me gird up my mind to go through the spiritual things that I got to go through. Let me come out unscathed. Let me find a way to come out unburnt like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Right? The three holy children. Let me find a way to get out of this fire and not even be singed. Not even smell like the smoke. That's where our mind is at. Let me get through these sufferings. Go ahead. Where you at?
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 16. Yet, if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed.
Right, because there is no shame. There is no shame in upholding the wisdom. There is no shame in upholding a spiritual standard. And we don't just have a spiritual standard, we also have a carnal standard. You have to have that too. Go ahead, but it's not the same carnal standard of I can't wear this type of handbag or wear this type of shoe. Go ahead.
But let him glorify the Most High on his behalf.
Right. So the glory again comes from the suffering. So go to Isaiah 53. Because what we're going to do, we're going to examine and and really look and say, man, and we're going to look at this Isaiah, and we're going to really see what was Christ going through. What was he going through? First and foremost, what we have to understand, like I said, you watch the Passion of the Christ, they show him getting whooped and beat, but were they able to get into his mind and see his mental suffering that he went through? And really, when you ask yourself, did Yahushua even suffer mentally?
Yeah.
Con.
Why would he?
Oh.
Why would he? Go ahead.
Well,
why would he suffer mentally?
I just remember, it went into him praying for so long, and also in that, I think, same verse, it went into like, Lord, please, if you could remove this cup from me,
right?
Removed, and he also was praying for like 4 hours. So I think about what he was praying for those 4 hours, like, probably the advantage to get through it, but it's still like, that's a form of, like, when even in my good times or bad times, I ain't gonna lie, in my bad times, my prayers are longer than when it's in my good times, honestly. So,
What were you gonna say, Major?
Kind of pretty much along the same lines as him. Like, I thought about what he said earlier, and what he just said actually about the cup. You know what I mean? As far as like, if you want me to go through this, pretty much, I'm gonna go through it. But if I don't have to, you can stop it pretty much if you wanted to.
Right.
So I'm thinking like he's contemplating on that mentally, going back and forward, knowing that he has to go through it, but at the same time, it's like, man, if I don't have to, you can remove this.
Let me hit y'all with one. You think that he thought about that more than what the people were going through?
Nah.
Right.
It's just the whole.
Because when you look at it, how many times did he ask the Most High to remove that cup from him?
One time.
How many people did he come across that had sorrows, pain, suffering, ailments? That whole 3 years. His mental anguish was, he was taking on what they were dealing with. Watch.
And even at the end, throughout all the prayers, he asked the Most High to forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Right.
So his mind, mental, spiritually, it was on what they were, the lack of knowledge that they had.
Yeah, it wasn't on what he was going to go through. His mind was on the people and their sorrows and their sufferings.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. His mind, I don't see his mind being in torment like that while he was going through it, because he's looking at the goal. He's looking at the end prize. He's not focused on the dude that's punching him in the face and, I'm gonna make sure I get him. He's like, no, I'm going through this for my people.
And there's one, I'm not going to go there yet, but there's a scripture that specifically tells us that. I'm not going to go there yet.
Okay.
We're going to go to Isaiah 53. Go to Isaiah 53.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So in John 11:35, when it talks about after Yahushua resurrected,
right?
And it says that he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. So when it goes in verse 33 when he was weeping, so could that be saying he was tormented by he loved them, but it was like.
Well, he definitely loved the people. That's why he went through what he went through.
God.
That's without a shadow of a doubt that he loved his people. He was the ultimate martyr for his people. He was the ultimate sacrifice for his nation. So that's without a shadow. But remember, we're dealing up until this point, the things he suffered before he resurrected.
God.
Right? So go to Isaiah. Go to Isaiah 53 and you can start at verse 1.
God, Isaiah chapter 53 verse 1. Who has believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
Come on.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant. And as a root out of a dry ground.
Right. Now, if anybody's confused or don't understand, this chapter is talking about Christ. Every scholar, every commentary you can read, everything you can go to try to think that it's not, tells you that it's talking about Christ. So what does this show you? That Isaiah prophesied about Yahushua Yahushua or the Messiah was known back in the Old Testament. I don't care what commentary you go to. They tell you it couldn't be that David, it couldn't be Solomon. But you do have ignorant Hebrews, ignorant Yisrael. That's like, oh yeah, that's talking about David. But that's talking about Solomon.
Yeah.
No, it ain't. Stop it. Especially when we hit verse 3 and verse 4. Shuts down all that. So we got to understand, we're talking about Yahushua here. Isaiah was prophesying through the Spirit about Yahushua. And in many books, you go to Isaiah 60, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 66. It's not 60, it's Isaiah 63. Right? He's talking about Yahushua. So they knew about Yahushua. They knew about the Savior, the Messiah. Go ahead.
He had no form of comeliness.
Right? So he wasn't a beautiful man. He had no form of comeliness, of beauty. Like Solomon said, I'm black, but I'm comely. I'm black, but I'm beautiful. So he had no form or no comeliness. So he wasn't what they depict, some muscular dude with abs. He had a 12-pack with guns. So he had no form. He was just a regular, average dude. Average guy that ate and drank with no beauty that he could be desired. Now, go ahead, read on.
And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
Right, now when you look at David, you look at Solomon, they talked about how beautiful they were, right? It was like David was beautiful from head to toe. Like the dude was gorgeous. Right? You can't use that word for a godly man, gorgeous. But when you read like in the Josephus, it said he was without blemish. Right? And Solomon, same thing. He was handsome. He was comely. But here is this man, Yahushua, the representation of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the representation of the Most High. They said he wasn't beautiful to where we would desire him for his beauty. Now, carnal people, carnal people are going to be like, what? Yeah, we don't want to be around him because he ain't good looking. He ain't good looking enough. He don't have the costly attire, right? His hair might be a little bit too nappy, or his beard might be a little bit too stringy. So we don't want to deal with him. So just on a physical level, Yahushua wasn't on some level of beauty that he could be desired. Scriptures is telling us that. His body shape wasn't great. He wasn't diesel hitting the gym, deadlifting 450. But he wasn't chiseled chin either. Go ahead.
He is despised and rejected of men.
He's what?
Despised and rejected of men.
Right, so we're going into this despised and rejection of men. So we're dealing with the mental anguish, the mental suffering that Yahushua went through. Go ahead.
A man of sorrows. And acquainted with grief.
Right, so go to Psalm 69 and verse 7. Go to Psalm 69 verse 7. And read Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 3 one more time.
Come. He is despised and rejected of men.
He said he's despised and rejected of men. Now, this is big. Rejection. Because no one wants to be rejected. No one, it doesn't matter, man, what you're doing. When your woman rejects you, you just want to kill yourself. It lowers that self-esteem. Right? No matter what, when you're rejected or denied, it lowers that confidence. Right? Go to Psalm 69 in verse 7. Read that.
Psalms chapter 69, verse 7. Because for thy sake I have borne reproach. Shame hath covered my face.
Now, we know this is David speaking in the Spirit, right? We know this is David speaking in the Spirit, and a lot of what David was going through, but a lot of what David was talking about, he was prophesying to Yahushua. And they went through some of the same things. Read it one more time.
For thy sake I have borne reproach.
Right.
Shame hath covered my face. I am become a stranger unto my brethren.
You see that? He said, I become a stranger unto my brethren. Because when Yahushua got back on the scene when he hit 30, and he was going back into his hometown, and we're going to go to it, they rejected him, man. All the people, all the Jews, they rejected him. That's the first thing they did. They didn't give him a chance. He opened his mouth. They were like, yeah, we ain't dealing with you. He performed miracles. He healed the sick. They're like, oh, yeah, nah, we ain't dealing with that. All because he didn't fit a standard of what they wanted the Messiah or the Savior to be. Now, that rejection could have put in his mind like, nah, I don't want to be rejected. I want to be accepted. Mm-hmm. So let me conform. Right? Let me bend the rules and bend the word, and let me, you know, I know we ain't supposed to eat the swine, but let me just go hang out and get a little taste. Let me show them that I'm with it. Because I miss my family. Right? But he said, most important, verse 7, because for thy sake I have borne reproach. Whose sake was Yahushua always going through things for?
His people.
The people and for the will of the Most High. See, we have to adopt this mind that why do we go through what we go through? We go through things because it's the will of the Most High, by Hashem Yahushua, and for our people. So we can't compromise because of the rejection. We can't give up because we get in the stiff arm. Let them stiff arm you, man. That's to your glory. Go to Mark 6 and verse 1. Read verse 8.
God. I am become a stranger unto my brethren.
Come on.
And an alien unto my mother's children.
And a what?
An alien unto my mother's children.
Right, he said I became an alien unto my mother's children. Because even Christ's brother rejected him at a time. They weren't dealing with him. You the Messiah? Yeah, right. You was born from mama. You was born from Mama Mary, just like me. How are you the Messiah? Mark 6 and verse 1.
Mark chapter 6 verse 1. And he went out from thence and came into his own country.
Speaking of Yahushua, go ahead.
And his disciples followed him.
Right, so he came into his own country with his disciples. Read.
And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue.
Right, because that was the tradition on the Sabbath. Go to the synagogue and teach. Read.
And many bearing him were astonished, saying, from whence hath this man these things?
Right.
And what wisdom is this which is given unto him?
Yeah, like what the hell is he talking about, and where did he get this? Go ahead.
That even such mighty works are wrought by his hand.
Come on.
Now
this is the thing. They seen the mighty works. This is the kicker. They seen the mighty works. They just said it. Go ahead.
Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary?
Yeah, like, bro, ain't he the son of Mary? Like, ain't he just some regular dude from down the block? This is how they treated Christ. Like, bro, you the carpenter's son. Like, what the hell are you doing? Trying to hear that? Go ahead.
The brother of James and Joseph and Judah and of Judah and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us?
Read.
And they were offended at him.
Think about that. You come to preach salvation to your people and they are offended. But ain't that what our people deal with us like? They're like, nigga, you was just smoking weed like 6 months ago. Well, damn, I don't get a chance to change.
Done.
I don't get a chance to repent and do better. It's like, I gotta always be the weed smoker. I gotta always be the alcoholic, the angry dude. That's what I'm gonna be known as for life. They look at you like, yeah, bro, you was just hitting the block a couple of months ago. You ain't coming to teach me nothing. And then when you do open your mouth with wisdom and it hits them, they still like, nah, we ain't dealing with that. They reject you off the top because of what? Because of your past. Now, obviously, Christ didn't have no bad past, but they were just looking at him like, first of all, you ain't got no beauty, you ain't got no body shape, you the son of a carpenter. How the hell can you tell us anything? How you gonna be up in here teaching? Go ahead.
But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country.
You see that? A prophet ain't without honor, but in his own country, man. Right? What they always say? It's always your own. It's man. There's so many different sayings. There's so many different ones about your own people hating on you. But ain't that the truth? It's always your own people that's hating on you. You're supposed to be the man in your hometown, in your country. But he said a prophet is not without honor, except only in his own country. Because a lot of the different prophets were rejected. Think about all the prophets of Israel. Were they not rejected by their own countrymen? Right? So you got to see, not only did Yahushua go through these things, the prophets before him, but these are the things that we got to suffer as Christians. Go ahead, read.
And among his own kin, and in his own house.
Yeah, man, you go back to go see grandmama and them. They're like, boy, why you wearing them funny clothes? And you like, grandma, Numbers 15:38. But I ain't trying to hear that. That's that Old Testament, boy. What did Paul say? And it's like, what you mean what did Paul say? The same thing the Old Testament said. Hey, wear your hat, wear your fringes. Nah, but you reading that wrong. Let's go to Galatians. Everybody could be saying, like, they start doing all that. You like, what? But it's your own kin. It's your own family. They reject you. They reject the word. But does that make us stop? Is that supposed to make you all of a sudden drop the Bible like, yeah, y'all right. I'm gonna listen to y'all. I remember back in the day, man, I was like, listen, y'all don't want to deal with me? Good. I cut my whole family off. I burnt all bridges. But then I had to realize that was it about burning bridges? No. He that is wise winneth souls. So I had to learn that, in my maturity and growing up, it's a way to come at people and deal with people. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 5. And he could there do no mighty work. Save that he laid his hand upon a few sick folk.
This shows you how messed up these people were. It said he couldn't do no mighty works, but lay his hand on some sick folk. Go ahead.
And healed them.
And what?
Healed them.
Like, that ain't mighty enough for y'all? Like, it's like when you go to your family and they're like, man, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. And you're like, oh yeah, man, go to the Bible. Because if you go to Ecclesiastes 2 and verse 1 and read that, they're like, Ecclesiastes? Get that crap out of here. That ain't the Bible. You try to give them the mighty works of wisdom through the word, and they're like, nah, we don't want that. That ain't good enough for me because I don't understand it or get it, so I ain't gonna use that. Well, you know what? Okay, let's hop out the Apocrypha. Let's go to the Gospels. Let's read about. Nah, I ain't messing with that. Like, well, what do you want? Nothing is good enough. They constantly reject. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 6. And he marveled because of their unbelief.
Yeah, Yahushua was like, what's wrong with y'all? He said he marveled because of their unbelief. But ain't that what we do? We're like, damn, I wish y'all could get it. I wish y'all really understood. But see, the point and the reason why I'm going here is because we can't let their unbelief and their quick willingness to reject the wisdom stop us from keep pushing for the wisdom. We can't let that deter us, man. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, just in thinking about what you were talking about earlier and leading to this, like how the people are cardinal. They need to see more. They need to see some fantastic show. It made me think about in Ecclesiastes chapter 13 and verse 23, and it speaks about the rich man. Like everyone will listen to a rich man,
right?
But then the poor man they don't want to listen to.
Yeah, because he don't got the right attire. He don't look a certain way. Like, how you gonna tell me that you ain't shaved today? That's how they look at us. Like, man, you growing that old nappy beard. How you gonna tell me that I'm smooth shaven? I'm looking good out here. I got the ear of the people. Because why? That's how church represents themselves. If you don't look a certain way, you can't be a servant of the Most High. Or if you look a certain way, you are a servant of the Most High. If you talk a certain way, we know that it's about how you deal with the wisdom and deal in wisdom. And as we're learning, it's about what am I going through and for what? Go to. Did you finish that? Go ahead.
And he went round about the village teaching.
You see that? He didn't stop. He wasn't like, man, yeah, y'all right. This is foolish. I give up. He kept teaching. Go to Luke 22 and verse 31. Luke 22 and verse 31. Somebody else get Matthew 26 and 69. Just hold it. Very important. Now, as we go into this Luke, look, man, think about it. Yahushua rode with Peter 3 years. Peter was the third apostle called. Right? Peter was the first one to really recognize that Yahushua was the Messiah. Peter, when he first met Yahushua, what did Yahushua say? What did Yahushua do for Peter? What's that?
I'm making fishermen of men.
He said, I'll make you a fisher of men, when he changed his name to the Rock.
Oh, God.
So you're no longer Simon, but he called him Cephas. So you'll be the Rock, right? You're going to be the cornerstone of the church. Now, you got to see there was a different relationship as far as when you read the scriptures and you look at the different apostles, how Yahushua and Peter's relationship was. Christ was checking Peter left and right. Right? Peter he said, Peter, you got demons on you. Satan wants you. He's going to sift you. He was checking him left and right, but he picked him to be the cornerstone. Now, what did Peter do? He denied Christ.
Done.
He rejected Christ in the most detrimental times. He rejected him. This is a man that rode with him for 3 years, seen the power, seen the glory. So when it says back in Isaiah, say he was rejected of men, man, that was all the way around, man. That was all the way around, whether it's brothers and sisters, countrymen. That was all the way around. Damn, where did my scripture go? Go ahead, read.
Luke chapter 22 and verse 31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you.
Satan what?
Hath desired to have you.
Come on.
That he might sift you as wheat.
Read on.
But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not.
Right.
And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren.
He said, when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. Read.
And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee.
So you see how Yahushua was dealing with Peter? He was literally putting him in this position of, listen, you're going to be the strength to your brethren. You're going to be the ones that they got to look to. Right? And Peter was like, man, listen, I'm ready to die for Christ. I'm ready to, listen, I'm going to jump off a cliff. We about to go fight these Romans. I'm cutting off centurions' ears. We're doing all that, right? Go ahead.
Both into prison and to death.
Come on.
And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me.
You see that? He said the cock will crow 3 times, and you gonna deny that you know me. Peter was like, what? Hell nah, bro. I just said I'm ready to die. I'm ready to go to jail. I'm ready to fight. Go to Matthew 26 and 69. Now all I did was go from, I took one part of the story in Luke, and then I got the second part of the story in Matthew because it's more detailed. But this story is told through all the Gospels. Go to Matthew 26, 69.
Come, Matthew chapter 26, verse 69.
Read.
Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him.
And this is when they already took Yahushua. Go ahead.
Saying, thou also wast with Yahushua of Galilee. But he denied before them all.
He did what?
Denied before them all.
Yeah, he rejected Christ. Go ahead.
Saying, I know not what thou sayest.
Go ahead.
And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him and said unto them that were there, this fellow was also with Yahushua of Nazareth.
So he denied him once. Come on.
And again, he denied with an oath, I do not know that the man.
He said he denied with an oath. He took an oath.
I promise you I don't know him.
Like, man, swear on that. Yahweh Shai even said, man, don't swear. He basically sweared on that. Like, man, I put that on everything. I don't know him.
John.
Because why? Peter wasn't ready to be glorified with the Most High. He wasn't ready to go through that trial that he had to go through. He wasn't, I mean, he knew it was coming. If he would have been like, yeah, I know him, they would have put him right to death. He would have been right there with him, dragging across. He knew it, but he wasn't ready to accept. So, you know, now you're seeing the different levels of glory, the different levels of going through what you got to go through, the different levels of dedication. Peter was ready to accept some things, but not all. Yeah, I go to prison, I'll die. But then when it was time to die, he's like, I'm sure if they were just throwing him in prison, he would have been like, yeah, I know him. I'm going to go sit in prison with him. But death? Nah, bro. But see, us, we can't try to make a difference between what we choose to go through and what we don't. We can't choose what our trial. The trial is going to be there regardless. You're going to die some way, Peter. Right? Peter's going to die some way. You're going to live forever. You're going to die some way. Why not die saying that you was fighting for Christ? Why suffer as a murderer or some other way? Why he just say suffer as a Christian? See, because he lost his purpose. He lost his way on what he was supposed to suffer. He lost that. He lost it in the battle. In the midst of the battle, he was like, this is getting real. He didn't consider the whole time he was rolling that, it can get real like this. Right? Read on.
Verse 73. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, surely thou also art one of them.
Right?
For thy speech beruffed thee. Then began he to curse and to swear.
Yeah, man, he was cursing and swearing up a storm. I swear to God, I don't know that man. I put it on my mama and them, I don't know him. Go ahead.
Say, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew.
Woo! Go ahead, read verse 75.
And Peter remembered the word of Yahweh Shai,
come on,
which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly.
And that's all he could do. That's all he could do is just weep bitterly, like, damn, I done rejected the Messiah. I done rejected the Lord and Savior. Go to St. John 1 and 10. St. John chapter 1 verse 10. You got to see the magnitude. You got to see the magnitude of what Yahweh Shai had to deal with. When you rejected by technically your own creations. Y'all ever think about that?
John.
Imagine if your child rejected you. I don't want you to be my mama no more. I don't want you to be my daddy no more. I want a different dad. Imagine that, man, being rejected by your own creation. Read that.
St. John, chapter 1.
1 and verse 10.
Verse 10. Slide. He was in the world. And the world was made by him.
You see that? He was in the world, and the world was made by him. Come on.
And the world knew him not.
You see that? And the world knew him not. They didn't even want to take a chance to know him. He opened up his mouth and said, he the Son of the Most High. They were like, nigga, blasphemy. Stone him. Go ahead.
Verse 11. He came unto his own. And his own received him not.
Yeah, man. He came to his own people and was rejected. Now, none of us are being rejected on this scale. Our rejection is a microcosm. The little chick in the mall that don't want your number, that don't equate to the rejection that Yahweh Shai went through with straight up apostles that rolled with him for 3 years. Rejected for the word. Because old girl don't want your number, you can't, I'm suffering for Christ's sake. Nah, bro. That's not what it's talking about. But now, when the family or when people start reproaching and rejecting you because of the standard that you carry, because you roll like a Christian or a follower of Christ, because you roll in that power, and you start getting rejected for that, Barakatah Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shai. There gotta be some joy that comes to you that, damn, okay, I know what that feels like. And it actually ain't that bad. But some compromise and conform and change. Go to Psalms 22 and verse 6. Somebody else get Psalms 31 and 11.
Come. Psalms chapter 22, verse 6.
Read.
But I am a worm, and no man a reproach of men.
Read it right. He said, but I am a worm and no man. Go ahead.
A reproach of men, and despised of the people.
Now remember, this is David. But remember how David, when he was in the spirit and prophesying and teaching, a lot of the things that David went through, he prophesied that Yahweh Shai was going to go through. Go ahead.
Verse 7. All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip.
Right? They talk that smack, because ain't that what the Pharisees did?
God.
It was always trying to catch him, right? They said they were always trying to find an occasion against Yahweh Shai. Always trying to find a reason to catch him. Go ahead.
They shake their head, say, he trusted on the Lord that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him.
Right, because ain't that what the world looks at? They're like, you're supposed to be about Christ. Why you ain't balling? You supposed to be, how come you ain't like Joel Osteen and them?
Right.
You supposed to be about that Bible. How come you going through it?
It's like mocking.
Yeah, but that's what it says. It says all they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head. It's like, bro, come on, you ain't no Bible. Huh? What's that, Shaddai?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, my mom said the same thing to me. She was like, she goes, son, you know, if you're supposed to be following God, God wants good things for you. He doesn't want you to be suffering or going through hardships. You know, you gotta manifest this by thinking positive thoughts. And I'm
like you err not knowing the truth or the power of the Most High. Through much tribulation, you shall enter into the kingdom.
Oh man, I hit all the scriptures.
Right, and she was like, goodbye, talk to you later. That's what it is. They don't want to hear a word. They don't want to hear that we gotta suffer. They want to hear smooth things.
Come.
Go to Psalms 31 and 11.
Come. Psalms chapter 31, verse 11. I was a reproach among all mine enemies.
Read.
But especially among my neighbors.
Especially among who?
Among my neighbors.
So we know that enemies are automatically going to shoot the lip, talk that crap. But what happens when your neighbors start doing it? When your own family and brothers and sisters that you done came out, you done shared a womb with this man, and he's coming up against you. You share actual blood with these people. And they like, nah, we ain't about that life. Whatever you talking about, bro, we gonna be over here hitting the weed. And you can hit it if you want, but if not, go your way. What's up?
That reminded me one day I was giving some advice to my brother. My brother's just like a year and a half older than me.
Right.
And
I remember.
Oh yeah, he was like, Tremaine, don't you know I came out of mom before you? And I'm thinking like, what does that have to do with
Like, how does that qualify you?
It's like,
that doesn't qualify you for this extraordinary wisdom automatically because you're older. You're just an older fool. You're just an old fool. Because that's what they look at, like, oh, you're younger than me, so you can't tell me nothing. They look at Christ like that too, like, what else is this young ass dude trying to tell us something? You 12 years old in the synagogue teaching doctors and lawyers. They heard him, but they were still questioning, like, man, where does this dude come from? Go ahead, read on.
Come. Verse 11. I was a reproach among all mine enemies, but especially among my neighbors. And they feared to mine acquaintance.
Read.
They that did see me without fled from me.
Come on.
I am forgotten as a dead man out of mine.
Right. Man, nobody considered Yahweh Shai. They're like, man, this nigga's the carpenter's son. Man, he a carpenter. His sister's right over here kicking it with us. What the hell is he talking about? Go ahead.
I am like a broken vessel.
13.
For I have heard the slander of many.
Right?
Fear was on every side.
Because that's what happens, man. They start to slander us. Oh, y'all are a hate group. Oh, y'all are a cult. Oh, y'all just trying to use the Bible to pimp. Right? Brother get a new rib and what they trying to spit in her ear. Oh, yeah, they just trying to use you. They just want you for your money. They just want you for this. They just want you for that. It's like, first of all, you really got money. So I don't want you for that. I want to mold your spirit. But see, the world is so used to being used, abused, and destroyed. They think that when we come, that's what we want to do. Where what we do is we destroy. Oh yeah, we destroy that old man in you, just to build up that new. But see, the world is like, see, he's destroying you. He's changing you. That's what's supposed to happen.
God.
You were supposed to be changed. Put off the old man and put on the new. That's renewed in the knowledge of Christ.
God.
But see, the world don't want to deal with those scriptures and those concepts. But he's changing you. You're so quiet all of a sudden. Well, yeah, because 6 months ago you were loud, ratchet, 5. Now you're becoming a holy, righteous sister. Nothing wrong with that. Or you're getting so refined. You're submissive. They make it negative to be these things. So all these reproaches and negatives come. Go ahead, read on.
Con. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life.
Read.
But I trusted in thee, O my Lord. I said, thou art my power.
Right, go to Job 19:13. Job 19:13. It's dealing with all these different scriptures on the rejection that Yahushua felt and dealt with. And that we deal with the same rejection, man. We have to. This is the only way we get through to get that crown, to get that glory. A lot of brothers have been rejected, sisters rejected by their families, man, because of the word. You got to find some joy in that. Go ahead, read Job 19:13.
Job chapter 19 and verse 13. He had put my brethren far from me.
Go ahead.
And my acquaintances are verily estranged from me.
Was not Peter estranged from Yahushua after a while?
God.
You denied him?
God.
Yeah, go ahead.
My kinfolk have failed. And my family.
My familiar.
Oh, excuse me. My familiar friends have forgotten me.
Read.
They that dwell in my house and my maids count me for a stranger.
Right.
I am an alien in their sight.
Yeah, because that's what happened with Yahushua and the apostles, man. When they went from these different towns, they were going to their own hometowns. Like, who is this guy trying to teach us? When you show up with your family, they say the same thing, man. They look at you like you're an alien. Because you got a garment on. Like, what is that you're wearing? I'm wearing pants, bruh. A damn shirt. What are you wearing? Jeggings? What are you wearing? Tights? Read.
I called my servant, and he gave me no answer.
Come on.
I entreated him with my mouth.
Right, we know that Yahushua didn't have servants and things like that. We know this is Job dropping what he was going through. But it still goes without saying that Yahushua went through some of these things also. Go ahead. My breath is strange to my wife. Right.
Though I entreat for the children's sake of my own body.
Right, you see that? How that alienation can get so strong?
Yeah.
Job said, my breath is strange to my own wife. Because what happens? You start preaching that word, and Matthew 10 and verse 35 tells you that, think not I've come to send peace on earth, I've come to send a sword. I've come to set a man at variance. You know, and the foes of the people of his household will be his foes. Because of the word. Now, do I compromise? I know that we don't celebrate birthdays, but tomorrow's her birthday. Do I celebrate her birthday to make her happy?
Wow.
I'm gonna let that word do its job. But these are the things that might happen. Read that part again.
My breath is strange from my wife.
To my wife.
Excuse me. To my wife. Though I entreat for the children's sake of my own body.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Young children despise me. I arose, and they spake against me.
Come on.
All my inward friends abhorred me, and they whom I love are turned against me.
Yeah, man. That's what happens for the word.
Come.
You want to talk about suffering as a Christian?
Come.
Here it is. Here it is, right here. You want to talk about trials and tribulations? Imagine being rejected by your family, by your wife, by your own children. Some men are going through that. Some women are going through that. You got to keep going through it. You got to keep pushing. Because you never know. You might save that family member. Their unbelief might be changed through your faith.
Come.
Mark.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, like how you said that you might change them through your faith.
Right.
You know, and it's also with, you're doing these things and they see that you're being different, but they're not going to believe it initially. The tell of the tape is how consistent that you are. How long you stick it through and you continue to be who you are and show them that you've really changed and you're not the old man that they remember from the past.
Right. You don't want to, and a lot, to some of you sisters, man, some of you sisters that run back, you having relationship issues with your husband and you run back to your mama and them to tell them, they're ready for that. They're ready for you to come run to them so they can say, see girl, we told you so. We told you should have got with that Hebrew man. You should have got with no Hebrew. We told you. They too much about that Bible. We told you shouldn't have got with him. They waiting for you to come back with the evil report so they can hit you with the I told you so. Not with wisdom.
Nope.
Not with biblical knowledge. Not with, oh, stay strong, fight through it, sis. It's going to be okay. Apply the scriptures. They're like, nah, get you a new man. So we got to be careful. Even some brothers, man, you running back to mama, telling her all the things you're going through, like she's going to save you, and not going back into the book. They're waiting to say, see, we told you not to mess with them Hebrews. We told you should have been a Muslim or a Kemet, because that works. It's real. Some brothers know what I'm talking about. Go to Psalms 118:22. No, I don't want the mark. Psalms 118 and verse 22. Acts 4 and 11. Also.
Psalms chapter 118, verse 22. The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner.
Right, because when they rejected Yahushua, they didn't know what they were rejecting. They didn't know they were rejecting the Savior of the world, of Israel. They didn't know they were rejecting the walking word. They didn't know that. Like he said, if you would have known who you killed, you wouldn't have killed me.
Right.
They didn't know what they rejected, but now does your family? With all the, I always use myself as an example. And I sit back and I'm like, man, through all my years of studying the Bible and all just other books and other knowledge and just looking things up and giving myself wholly, like the scriptures say, being addicted to the ministry. Does your family really know the insight that you possess when it comes to this Bible? Nah. Because they're still looking at you as the young 23-year-old fool. They're still looking at you as the young 19-year-old mess up. They're not looking at you as the 30-year-old man that messed up part of his life and then gathered wisdom through his 30s into his 40s. And now that's what you're living off of. They're not looking at you like that. They're looking at you as the family member that just don't come around because he's doing something weird on the weekends. The family member that's into a cult. That's what they look at. So you're rejected. Just how they rejected Christ. I mean, think about it, man. He was walking around healing people. They rejected him. We ain't healing nobody like by touching them. So imagine how much more they're going to be like, man, you nuts. Right? Read that one more time and then go to Acts 4 and 11.
Psalms chapter 118, verse 22. The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner.
Right? Go to Acts 4 and 11.
Acts chapter 4, verse 11. This is the stone which was set at naught of your builders.
Of you builders.
Of you builders.
Come on.
Which has become the head of the corner.
Read.
Neither is there salvation in any other.
Neither is there what?
salvation in any other.
Now, if your family realized that you were there to send them salvation, you think they would reject you?
Lie.
You see, the point is for you not to give up, because you can't be their salvation, man. You can't be that example. Imagine this 10 years from now, man. You just get a message like, hey, I heard that we were the tribe of Judah from some random family member. And you're like, yeah, we are. I mean, you're able to give them all the wisdom. But imagine 10 years from now, you get that same message, but you're back in the world smoking dope, hitting the weed. What you gonna do? How you gonna save them? How you gonna be that example? You're not. You're gonna be the example of how to double judge in and out of the truth, how to be double-minded, how to rely more on the world. You're gonna be their perfect example of why they didn't want to follow you back 10 years ago. See, the one thing about my family, they can look and see and they be like, okay, he's doing the same thing that he was doing back in the day. Gotta be something about it. They hit me up from time to time. I had one cousin hit me up. She was like, I heard we from the tribe of Benjamin. It's like a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe less. I was like, wait a minute, let me make sure this ain't a prank. Because these are some church-going folks, man. They feel like they highly favored. They really into that Christianity.
Yeah.
And I start hitting them with some just light information. Yeah, we are. Boom, go ahead, Deuteronomy 28, boom, boom, boom. Nothing heavy. I haven't really heard from her since. But obviously, I look at people's social medias and things, and you don't see the change from years ago. It's the same person, same demeanor, same spirit. So, but who knows, man? What family member is looking at you, looking at me? I don't know. I got social media just like everybody else. I don't know what member of the family is watching me to see why is he so consistent in what he does. We got to be aware of that also.
That makes me think about like when Paul said, who else I baptize I know not. Because you don't know who else is hearing you, who else is listening to you, who else is actually getting cleaned up from your example. From
the things that you display and do. I can't be priest 1 minute and then nigga on Facebook. I can't be the gangbanger on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm a priest Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. What about the ones that are looking at the Facebook? Right? So it's really about, you can't let the rejection. That was part of the package deal. When you said, I'm ready to die for Christ, well, here it is. When you said, I'm going to give myself up as a living sacrifice, here it is. You got to live through these sorrows. Christ was able to die, but guess what? You got to live through this. And then still die. Right? Read on.
God, neither is there salvation in any other.
Right.
For there is none other name under heaven given among men.
Right.
Whereby we must be saved.
Go to Isaiah 53 and verse 3 again. So we dealt with the rejection. A lot of heavy stuff in there, man.
Isaiah chapter 59?
53 and verse 3.
Oh, 53 verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men. A man of sorrows.
Right. So go to Mark 14 and verse 32. A man of sorrows. So let's look at it, man. The sorrows. Where did these things come from? Well, we dealt with the sorrow. We dealt with a class of that the other day about sorrow. Right? But let's look and see, did Christ deal with sorrows? Well, it just said it. He was a man of many sorrows. Now, was his sorrows created because he was just some nigga? Walking the earth drunk as hell, just doing retarded things? No. His sorrows were purposed sorrow. Mark 14 and 32.
Mark chapter 14 and verse 32. And they came into a place which was named Gethsemane. I don't know if I said that right.
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane. And he said unto his disciples, sit ye here, while I shall pray.
Somebody else get Psalms 18 and 4. Go ahead, read.
And he taketh with him Peter and James and John, and began to be sore amazed, and to be very heavy.
And to be what?
Very heavy.
Go ahead.
And he said unto them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful unto death.
Right, come on.
Tarry ye here and watch. And he went forth a little and fell onto the ground.
Right, see, his sorrow came not because he didn't want to go through what he had to go through, because he knew what he was going through. His sorrow came because he knew what was going to befall him. Well, I mean, remember, he was a man, just like me and you. So he was made a little bit lower than the angels so that he could suffer death. So, obviously, his mind is going to be like, well, if I don't got to go through it, let me just see. Let me make sure I ain't got to go through this. Let me double check real quick.
Come.
Right? Like any man would.
Come.
Let me just ask one more time to make sure. Right? Just like when you go through your battle and trial, you're like, man, Yahweh. Really? Yeah, can you just lighten up a little bit? But when you pray, you ask for the Most High to take all these evils and things from you, right? Right. So it's no different. Yahweh Shai was like, listen, man, move these demons away in the form of this damn nation that was going to kill me. Move these demons away from me. Take this cup. Let it pass. Just like how we sit up there and set up prayers to the east. Yahweh, remove all Satan, negative, the thorn, heal us. It's no different. But his sorrow came because he knew what it was that he had to go through. Not that he had to go through it. On top of all the sorrow he took on himself from the people. Now, how many sorrows are you taking on? How many people's sorrows are you literally saying, you know what, I'm going to bear your burden? A lot of us can't even bear our own burden. We're not equipped to take on the sorrows of anyone else but ourselves. So what does that mean? You got to build yourself up. You got to build that mind, because part of this life is being able to take others' burdens and make them your own, literally. Read on.
And prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him.
Right, it said he went forward a little and fell on the ground and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. If it were possible, he's like, listen, man, Yahweh, Father, if you can make this happen. He wasn't doing the, I swear I'm going to be good. He just said, listen, if you can make this pass, then it be your will. He didn't have to swear by anything, swear on his mama in them grave. If you do this, I'm going to do this. He had to do all that. Go ahead.
Verse 36. And he said, Abba, Father,
read.
All things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will.
Right.
But what thou wilt.
But what thou wilt. Read Psalms 18 and verse 4.
Come. Psalms chapter 18, verse 4. The sorrows of death compass me.
The what?
The sorrows of death compass me.
You see that? It was the sorrows of death that Yahweh Shai was dealing with on one aspect. Now you understand when it said his eyes shall be red. His eyes were of a flame of fire in Revelation. It wasn't just that it was a prophecy in Genesis. Bro, he was a man of many sorrows. Imagine when you're going through your pain and sorrow, man. You just look faded. Wow. You just look like, damn, man. Indignation.
It's exhausting.
Exhaustion.
And you can only imagine how Yahweh Shai felt.
Oh, I'm going to hit y'all with a scripture. Y'all going to be like, damn. I'm going to hit you with this one. I'm coming here. Watch. Check this out. Read that Psalms.
18 and 4?
Yeah, and then go to Psalms 22 and 11.
Okay. The sorrows of death compassed me. And the floods of ungodly men made me afraid.
Right, go to Psalms 22 and 11. So y'all see that, right? Right. Psalms 22 and verse 11.
Come. Psalms chapter 22, verse 11. Be not far from me, for trouble is near.
Right.
For there is none to help.
There is what?
None to help.
Come on.
Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me around.
Right. So this is what was going on in the mind of Yahweh Shai. He's like, dang, bro, I got to go through this. Think about it. When Peter cut off the centurion's ear and he healed him, and he said, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Couldn't he have not let it just pop off right then and there? Could he have not just let Peter just thrust that man through? They could have went to war and won. But the point was that he said, if it be thy will. He knew that wasn't the will of the Most High. As soon as they showed up, he was like, yep, it's time. It wasn't the will of the Most High to fight. It was the will of the Most High for him to go through what he had to go through. But the whole time, the will of the Most High kept being shown to him. With every little step. With every little step. Even when he was sitting there with the Passover, he said, him that dippeth and soppeth, he's going to betray the Son of Man. That all these things was coming to pass. So it was making it even more real and evident. Like, damn, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Remember, he was still a man, so he wasn't wrong for praying to the Most High to ask him, hey, it's in your will to make anything happen. Right? Go ahead.
God.
Where you at? Go to Psalm 69 and 20. Psalm 69 and verse 20. And somebody else get Psalms 109 and verse 22.
Psalms chapter 69, verse 20. Reproach hath broken my heart.
You see that? All that rejection and reproach, all that mocking from the Pharisees and going back and forth, he said that broke his heart, man. Because why? These were his own people. These were his own people doing it. Go ahead.
God. And I am full of heaviness. And I looked for some to take pity.
Right.
But there was none.
Who was there to comfort Yahushua? Listen, man, when he went to go pray, his apostles fell asleep. They fell asleep on him. He was like, man, just sit here and watch. These dudes passed out. It's like, damn. Y'all can't even sit up with a brother? You know? You got to think about it, man. These guys fell asleep on him. He was like, wow, ain't nobody here for me to put my sorrows on. But that wasn't the goal. It wasn't the mission for him to put his sorrows on anybody. It was for him to take on the sorrow. So we got to understand that part of the job, we got to be able to take the sorrows of the world that people come with, and bro, you got to almost take that and put it right in your chest. And deal, because why? We have the capability to deal with it. And then you taking something from somebody, we have the capability to extinguish the sorrow. You got to take on their burdens as if it's yours. That's why you went through it in the first place. Y'all get that?
Con.
Read on.
Con. And for comforters, but I found none.
You see that? He said, but there was none. I looked for comforters, but I found none. There was no one there to comfort Yahushua and give him a good word. All he can do is pray to the Most High and understand that it's the Most High's will. The thing is, we have all the comfort in the world because Yahushua said, I would not leave you comfortless. Right? So we have the comfort. We have the one thing that Yahushua didn't have was that shoulder to lean on, that way out. We have that. We have that through each other. We got that through the wisdom. We got that through the word. Right? We got that. Go to our Psalms 109 and verse 22.
Psalms chapter 109 verse 22.
Read.
For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me.
Right, go back to Isaiah 53 and verse 4. Isaiah 53 and verse 4.
God, surely he hath borne our grief.
He had done what?
Borne our grief.
Did we read and esteemed him not? Read verse 3 one more time.
God, he despised and rejected. He is despised and rejected of men.
Right.
A man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
Right, acquainted with the grief of the world, man. He made himself acquainted with grief. Go ahead.
And we hid as it were our faces from him.
Yeah, man, we hid from Yahushua. We hid from the light. All the people were like, yeah, we're not dealing with that. We're here for fish. As soon as the fish run out, we gone. Only the 12, man, stuck by and didn't hide themselves until a certain point. Go ahead.
He was despised and we esteemed him not.
Yeah, because when we looked at Yahushua, you ain't beautiful, you ain't comely, right? We didn't esteem him as anything special. Oh, you just the carpenter's son. What wisdom do you got? So think about how that plays mentally on the brain, man. Put your mind in that. A lot of us that have been in that situation have given up. A lot of men and women have given up, man. Go to read verse 4.
Surely he has borne our grief.
He has done what?
Borne our grief.
Yeah, he has took up. When it says to born, you literally lift up. Bear a burden, born that burden. It means to take up. So he borne our grief. He took our griefs. Go ahead.
And carried our sorrow.
He did what?
Carried our sorrow.
Come on.
Yet we did esteem him stricken.
We esteemed him stricken, beaten. Go ahead.
Smitten of God.
Uh-huh.
And afflicted.
Go to Luke 16 and verse 13. Because this is how we looked at Yahweh Shai. This is how he was looked at. And man, who's this old beat up dude?
Come.
Who's this? Man, the Most High is not dealing with him. We looked at him as rejected as the Most High. Not understanding very basic things. Go to Luke 6 and 13. Read that.
Luke chapter 6 and 13?
6 and 13. Yep, Luke 6:13.
Luke chapter 6.
Damn. Go ahead.
Page got stuck. In verse 13. And it was day. He called unto his disciples. Excuse me. And when it was day, he called him unto his
He called unto him his disciples. Go ahead.
He called unto him his disciples.
Read.
And of them he chose 12.
Come on.
Whom also he named apostles. Simon, who was also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of
Apollius,
and Simon called Zealots, and Judas his brother the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor.
Right, so he called his 12 apostles. He called the apostles, and he called 12 out of those apostles. Go ahead.
And he came down with them and stood in the plain, and the company of his disciples, and a great multitude of people out of all Judea and Jerusalem, and from the sea coast of Tyre and Sidon,
right,
which came to hear him.
Read.
And to be healed.
And to be what?
And to be healed.
Come on.
Of the diseases.
Read.
And they that were very vexed with unclean spirits. And they were healed.
Read verse 19.
And the whole multitude sought to touch him.
Right.
For there went virtue out of him.
There went what?
Virtue out of him.
Listen, when he was healing people, it said the virtue left him. There was one scripture you read, it said he felt virtue. He said, someone touched me, I felt my virtue leave, my power.
The woman with
it was 3 different stories that you it's in 3 different gospels. But he said, I felt the virtue, the power, the majesty leaving. Think about that. Think about how many people he healed. Something was leaving him while he was giving them something. So when it said surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. It wasn't like it was some made up thing. Like he was literally taking these demons off these people. He was literally taking the sorrow and embodying it into himself, but he knew how to deal with it. The sorrow, the grief, that wasn't going to break his mind. So, did he deal with grief and sorrow? Yeah. But his mind was so strong that it didn't break him off of what he had to deal with. Y'all see that?
God.
Go to Matthew 18:24. Watch. Go to Matthew's 8:14. Right, Matthew 8:14. And then Galatians 3:13.
Matthew chapter 8, verse 14.
Read.
And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her.
Think about that. He touched her hand, and the fever left. That's how much power Yahweh Shai had. Go ahead.
And she arose and ministered unto them.
Come on.
When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils.
Read.
And he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick.
Read verse 17.
That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet.
Right.
Saying, himself took out infirmities and bare our sicknesses.
Himself took our infirmities. The same thing we just read in Isaiah 53. He literally bared our sicknesses, man. He took those things on himself. He took those infirmities, those sorrows. Galatians 3:13.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 13. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law,
right?
Being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is every one that hangeth on a tree.
So we know, cursed is every man that hangeth on a tree. He bared the curse of the law in his body till death. Go to 1 Peter 2:21. Very important. You got to really, when you look at the script, you got to really look at the in-depthness and the magnitude of just what that Matthews and what that Luke was saying. He said, virtue left him, man. Come on. He felt his power. I don't even know how to describe that. I don't even know how to describe virtue leaving you. I get tired doing a class. I'd be tired after this. Like, man, where's my spirit? Imagine healing thousands of people. Come on, man. You get tired reading 2 chapters. Imagine healing, literally touching someone and a fever is gone from their body, or speaking and you like letting devils out of people. And it said they brought multitudes to him at a time. Come on, man. Read that Peter 2:21.
1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21.
Right.
For even hereunto.
Verse 20. Read verse 24.
Verse 24.
What about 21? Go ahead, read.
Who is his own self? Who?
Read 21. I have it here. Read it.
Come. For even hereunto ye were called, because Christ also suffered for us.
Right, go ahead.
Leaving us an example that we should follow his steps.
Jump down to verse 24. There's a reason why I didn't. Yeah, read verse 24.
Whom his own self bare our sins.
He did what?
Bear our sins.
He said, who his own self bared our sins. Go ahead.
In his own body.
Right.
On the tree, that we, being dead to sin, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes ye were healed.
Yeah, you gotta really just think about how heavy that is. So he bared our sins in his own body, man. He literally took on all the filth, and it manifested in this sorrow of mind that didn't break his mind, didn't break him. He was able to deal with it, but then he had to go and offer himself up because of it. Y'all see that? Go back to Isaiah 53 and 4. Isaiah 53 and verse 4.
Isaiah chapter 53 verse 4.
Read it.
Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God,
right,
and afflicted.
Right, and we looked at that him being smitten and afflicted after he was beaten and chastised. Like, see, God didn't love him. God wasn't dealing with him. But go to Hebrews 12 and verse 5. Because when we go through our trials and tribulations, the world looks at us like, see, God ain't with you. The world looks at you like, wait, why would God let you go through these trials and tribulations? Why would he beat you? Why would he let you suffer? But Hebrews 12 and 5 tells us, read.
Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children.
Right.
My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord.
Read.
Nor faint when thou art rebuked of him.
Right. See, this is the exhortation of children. This is the exhortation that we as the children of the Most High, this is what we deal with. This is what we got to suffer. This is what we got to go through. This is how we get our glory. Go ahead.
For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth.
Right, you see that? He scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. So they looked at Christ getting scourged and beat and whooped. What was going through their mind? Yeah, he ain't God. He ain't the Son of God. The Son of God wouldn't let this happen to his son.
Right.
Right? I'm the Son of God because look, I got riches. I got this. I got that. Joel Osteen, right? What do they think? That godliness is gain. That the more I have, the more God is with me. Not seeing that through much tribulation you shall enter into the kingdom. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 7. If ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons.
You see that? This is how the Most High is dealing with you if you endure the chastisement. Go ahead.
For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?
Read.
But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers,
right?
Then are ye blessed.
Then are ye bastards.
Then are ye bastards and not sons.
Right. So that chastisement that he went through, that was necessary. To call yourself a son, he knew he had to go through it.
Hey, I got scripture to add with that.
What you got?
Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24.
Read it.
He that spareth his rod hated his son.
Yeah, man.
I was reading that today. I was like,
he that spareth the rod hated his son.
Where was that?
Proverbs 13
24.
and verse 24. So we're seeing that the way Yahushua was presented to us and the way he rolled, it was in a godly manner, but we just didn't understand it. But now the way we're presented to the world, they don't get it. We're following after the same pattern of Christ, man. With everything that we go through, we follow the same exact pattern. And remember, either you're going to suffer in the world as a murderer, adulterer, killer, or you're going to suffer as a Christian and get the reward for these things. One more thing that Yahushua had to suffer. He couldn't take the glory for the things that he did. Think about that. Think about not being able to take the glory for all the good works. Right, go to Philippians 2:5.
Bask in the fame.
Yeah, a lot, because men want to do that. They want to bask in the fame. They want to take the glory. I did that. See, look what I did. But he couldn't take the glory, man. Read that, Philippians 2 and verse 5.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 5. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Yahushua.
It was in who?
Yahushua.
Read.
Who, being in the form of the Most High.
See, he was in a form of the Most High. Yahushua was a power. He had power. Go ahead.
Thought it not robbery to be equal with the Most High.
He knew he couldn't be equal, man. He knew he wasn't going to put himself as an equal. That would have been robbery. Highway robbery. He would have been right there with Moses, man. Moses tried to take the glory. He didn't enter into the promised land. Go ahead.
But made himself of no reputation.
He did what?
Made himself of no reputation.
He had to make himself of no reputation. Now, I put this in here because for Yahushua, this wasn't even a big deal. He was like, listen, man, I healed you. Don't even tell nobody. Yeah, right? Don't even tell nobody I was here. And he went on to the next city. Don't even speak of it. I came to do not my own will, but the will of the Father. But how many of us keep that same mind? When, we're vessels to deliver the word. We're vessels to be examples. But how many of us keep in the mind that it's the Most High's will? That this is the Most High's doing? That the Most High endowed me with the wisdom to put it on display? See, we got to stay in that mind and not let the wanting to take the glory and the fame, be what we're chasing and what we're looking for. Some people are tormented because they can't take the credit, man. They're like, man, how come nobody ain't saying what I'm doing? How come they ain't talking good about me? Well, is it you? You're supposed to be happy that the Most High is even using you. Read on.
And took upon him the form of a servant.
Right.
And was made in the likeness of men.
You gotta see that, man. He had to come down from this angelic state, this godlike being. He had to come down and be what?
And was made in the likeness of men.
That is like the suffering by itself. Man, I have to know that you had all the power to prevent all this, and you had all the power to destroy countries and worlds, and not be able to do it. Also that the Most High could be glorified. Man, read.
And being found in the fashion as a man.
Right.
He humbled himself.
He did what?
He humbled himself.
He did what?
He humbled himself.
Come on.
And became obedient unto death.
Read.
And even the death of the cross.
Right. So we dealt with the mental torment. Now we're going to go into the physical. The death of the cross. Go back to Isaiah 53 and verse 5. Isaiah 53 and verse 5.
Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions.
He was what?
He was wounded for our transgressions.
Go ahead.
He was bruised for our iniquity.
Read.
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
Come on.
And with his stripes we were healed.
Right. So when it said that he was wounded for our transgressions, this wasn't like no wounded in the mind. Like he was literally wounded. He literally caught stripes for the nation. Go to Matthew 26:64. Matthew 26 and verse 64. You know, when you watch that Passion of the Christ, I haven't seen it in a minute, man. But like I said, they don't do justice what Yahweh Shai went through. They don't do it justice. Mel Gibson tried, but that had to have been probably one of the worst sights to ever see. An innocent man getting brutalized the way he got brutalized. And just not even fighting back. Not even uttering a word. Just taking it.
I watched something, it wasn't The Passion of Christ, but it was a Bible movie. And they kind of went into when they nailed
the hands?
Yes. And you can kind of see it, and it's something about it, it's still like.
Yeah, I mean, even when they depict, you're like, damn, like how can you hang a man from his hands?
So like you said, I can't imagine actually being there.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta, when Mashaba was bringing it out, just about the whole thing where after they scourged him, they made him carry his cross about a mile and a half, something like that. He had to carry that wooden beam. He had to carry that for miles.
With broken ribs.
Broken ribs and
stabbed him.
Yeah. He was injured, he was bleeding out. Yeah, he was already that cat of nine tails. That's what they whooped him with. A cat of nine tails was 9 or more. It was a whip with 9 prongs. The Romans would attach like metal to it. Metal hooks. So when it dug into the skin, it ripped the flesh. And you thinking like, oh, you just beat him on his back. They just whooped him on the back. No, they whooped him on the gut, the stomach, the legs, ripping out chunks of flesh out of his body. Bro, man, come on. I would have gave up. I would have died right there. I'm sorry. I would have had to feel that pain. I'm like, bro, I gotta die. But you gotta really think about the punishment that he went through. It really shows you the magnitude of how off Israel was and how detrimental the magnitude of punishment was equal to the magnitude of grace that the whole nation was going to get. You got to see it. Like, it couldn't just be some light beating and then we're going to hang you and then let you off and let you. Nah, he was trying to save a whole nation.
And what's crazy too, just like going over this again, that was like his final suffering. But literally, he'd been suffering the whole time he was alive.
Yeah, that's the whole mental part.
Like,
Mental suffering.
Yeah.
Listen, Yahweh Shai knew his destiny. Yahweh Shai knew the will of the Most High since he was young. Remember when they took him up to Jerusalem? He was 12, and they're coming back from Jerusalem from the Passover, and he disappears. And then his mom is all frantic, and he's like, I'll be about my father's business. He knew the will of the Most High from the age of 12, man. He knew what was up. He knew what his purpose was. Carried all that from 12 to 33. Think about that.
Yeah.
And not once did he do a Jonah. Not once did he just dip off somewhere and do a Hancock. Remember Hancock? He just get drunk and faded.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to do my purpose. I'm a superhero, but I'm going to just be drunk because the world sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Not once did he do that. Not once did he stray away from the purpose that he was meant for. Yeah, you see that cat of nine tails? Ooh. Bro, it was ripping out pieces of his stomach, genitals, bleeding out while he carried that cross. Read that, Matthews 26:64.
Come, Yahweh Shai said unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven.
Right.
Then the high priest rent his clothes, and saying, He has spoken blasphemy.
Even up until when they took him to the high priest, he was still preaching the will of the Father. And they were like, man, you're a blasphemous dude. He was angering these people, but he didn't care. He didn't renege on what the Most High set out for him to do. Read on.
What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy.
We don't need no witnesses to tell us what's going on. Y'all hear him talking. He's guilty. Read on.
What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death.
Go ahead.
Then did they spit in his face.
Did they what?
Spit in his face.
Imagine you standing there getting spat on. You would lose your damn mind if someone spat on you. You hate it when somebody's talking and a little piece of spit flies over and touches your lip. You be losing it. So imagine if somebody purposely coughed and spit on you. And you would lose it. I would. I'd lose it. That's like, in some places, that's the worst form of disrespect. To spit. Remember, the Most High said he counts the nations as spittle. So for you to spit on a man's face, how disrespectful could that be? Read on.
And buffeted him.
And buffeted him.
And buffeted him.
Right.
And others smote him with the palm of their hands.
So they were spitting in his face and slapping him like he was some woman, man. This is Yahweh Shai, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, all power, can call down angels. The apostles knew it. When they rejected him out of one of the cities, and the apostles said, should we just call down fire from heaven? Destroy this city. He was like, nah, this ain't the time. They knew the power. They smacked him. They spit on him. Now, ain't none of us getting smacked or spit on. Remember, the weapons of your warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High. Our battle ain't a carnal battle, man. Like, we're not getting spit and beat to be in this word, to be in this life. We're not getting spit on and beat up to represent Yahweh Shai. He already did that part. Go ahead.
Saying, prophesy unto us, thou Christ. Who is he that smote thee?
Yeah, they were like, man, mocking him. Like, yeah, prophesy and tell us who just hit you. What's his name? Go ahead, read on.
Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying,
where you at?
Verse 69.
Hold on. Go to Mark 15:17. Mark 15:17. I know it gets real somber dealing with this topic. I know. It's we gotta go through it, man. We gotta read it. Go ahead and read.
Mark chapter 15, Verse 17. And they clothed him with purple and plaited a crown of thorns. And put it about his head.
Now think about the mockery. Purple was a color of royalty. They didn't consider him the king of the Jews, but they were like, yeah, we're gonna throw you in some purple rags. And they made a crown of thorns. Now, listen, these weren't no little rosebud thorns that they just placed on gently on his head. They beat this damn thorn crown into his skull. He was bleeding from that. You ever see the people that have the halos on their head?
Done.
You know what a halo is?
Like keep your
spine straight, and then they gotta screw it into your dome.
Done.
And they beat this crown of thorns onto his head, and it's stuck in place. This wasn't let's crown you king, your majesty. All this was done out of mockery, and out of hatred, and out of spite. So when they did these things, man, this was torment. They put that crown on him, he bled from that. Go ahead.
And began to salute him. Hail, King of the Jews.
Read verse 19.
And they smote him on the head with a reed.
Yeah, they smote him in the head, man, with that reed, that thorn. Go ahead.
And did spit upon him.
Read.
And bowing their knees, worship him.
Go to Matthew 27 and verse 24. You gotta really think about it, man. Could you go through this?
God.
Could you deal with this? Well, you know why? It's a valid question, but a lot of us wouldn't. That's why Yahushua took this on. That's why he took on this part of the life, so you wouldn't have to.
I guess that's why some people in their brain, it's like they'll be like, you know, Christ was still in the spirit. Like he still was a spiritual person. He wasn't born of a woman, because like to take on all of this and still live and have that direct conscience towards God, it's like people, I guess their mind can't really grasp that. But they're like, oh no,
and that's the thing. Their mind can't grasp the fact that a man can go through this, not react, not die on the spot like I would.
Gone.
As soon as they start spitting and slapping me, I'm just gonna be like, man, I'm done.
Gone.
Right? Spitting, I already know the end. Just take my life. I'm gonna look up like Stephen. Just pray to the Most High and say, just take my spirit. I don't want to feel it. But listen, he had to feel it from the head to the toe, man. He literally had to feel every little pain, every little nuance. He had to feel it for it to be fulfilled. He couldn't just go bend off and hit the liquor. He couldn't get high through this. He couldn't smoke up before they captured him. Like, let me take one last drag before I go. You know how niggas gonna turn themselves into the cops? They gonna sit out a warrant, they gonna hit the bottle, show up to the jail drunk, or they gonna hit the weed and show up, and they try to go through their day high. Bro, there was none of that. He had to feel all this through all his bones and all his blood, and he had to feel every little nuance of pain. Read that, Matthew 27:24.
Matthew chapter 27 and verse 24. When Pilate saw he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude,
right,
saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person.
I am what?
Innocent of the blood of this just person.
After they smacked him, punched him, kicked him, spit on him, pull his clothes off, put him on some purple, smote him in the head with a thorn reed, Pilate comes back like, this dude's innocent. I'm washing my hands of this blood. Read on.
See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us.
Boy, is it. Read on.
And on our children.
Read.
Then released he Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Yahushua, he delivered him to be crucified.
Right, and it don't go into how the Romans, you just got to look up how the Romans dealt with crucifixion. They had the place where they scourged you, and they would walk you down to to the crucifixion site. But you had to carry that burden. That cross you were about to get crucified on, come on, man. You had to carry that. They made him carry that. You watch Passion of the Christ, they showed a little bit of it. Bleeding. Remember that cat of nine tails that pulled out chunks of flesh. This wasn't your daddy's belt that he whooped you with when you was bad in school. And then he probably got the biggest, most stout Roman Edomite ready to whoop. Just ready to go in. It's like when you go to, like when the dude went to Singapore and he littered in Singapore back in the 90s, early 90s. He littered, man, white boy. He went out there and threw some gum down. And they basically was like, yeah, they're going to cane him. But they got a martial artist to cane this dude. They didn't get like some regular dude that just swing a stick. They got a martial artist, expert caner. They said after the third whoop, after the third hit, he passed out. They had to wake him up so they could give him the other 12 or however many it was.
That was the third?
Yeah, he passed out.
Dang.
Bro, he was cutting flesh. That cane opens up that meat. Come on. He couldn't sit for years, man. He passed out. Passed out from the pain. They wake you back up and continue on. It's so much pain, the body, when you go through so much pain, the body's first thing is to, how do we minimize the pain? Well, you're going to pass the hell out so you don't feel it. Mm-hmm. Never do we read that Yahushua passed out from the pain. Go to Isaiah 50 and verse 6. Isaiah 50 and verse 6.
Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 6. I gave my back to the smitters.
To the smiters.
The smiters.
Go ahead.
And my cheeks to them that plucked off my hair.
Right, this was David again speaking of Yahushua in the spirit. It said they did what to his hair?
Plucked off the hair.
So they weren't just spitting and slapping. They were pulling his beard, pulling his hair. So they plucked off my hair. Y'all got to think about that. Imagine you just sitting there and somebody just ripping your beard out. You bleeding from the face. You comb your beard when it's dry, man. That hurts enough. But somebody literally grabbing your hair and pulling it and plucking it out. Come on, man. Go ahead.
I hid not my face from the shame and spitting.
Right. It said he did not hide his face. Go back to Matthew 27 and verse 24.
Matthew chapter 27 and verse 24. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult.
No, Matthew 27 and verse 24.
27.
Oh, read verse 27. Matthew 27 and 27. Salakia. 27 is 27.
When the soldiers of the governor took Yahushua into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers, and they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe.
Right.
And when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed.
Remember, it said they smote him in the head with that. So this wasn't just, again, your majesty is crowned. Go ahead.
And a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spat upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him.
Right. Go ahead. What verse you at?
Verse 31.
Read.
And put his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him.
Yeah, stripped him down, mocked him. Like, why was all this necessary? It wasn't. Think about it. They weren't doing this to no other man. They stripped him down, threw him in purple, mocked him, put a crown on him, and then just for him to get back dressed in his own clothes. You gotta see the disrespect that these men were about, that the Romans were about, but it was our own people also. Read on.
And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross.
Right.
And when they were come unto a place called Golgotha,
yep.
Golgotha, that is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink,
right,
mingled with gall.
Right. See, they tried to. It was vinegar, and they basically tried to drug him up, try to poison him up. Go ahead.
And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink.
Right, because he couldn't be in a drugged up mind state to go through what he had to go through. Through all he was going through all the beating and the whooping, what was he doing?
Praying.
He had to have been. To go through that, he had to have been talking to the Most High the whole time. Most High was just guiding his mind. He had to keep that connection. He couldn't take the poison and the vinegar, because that would have took him out of his right mind. Think about it. That would have took him out of his right mind. See, he wasn't worried about the pain. He wasn't worried about the bleeding. He wasn't worried about the beard. He was worried about being in the right mind. All that body, my body this, my body that, he was up here the whole time. Go to Psalms 69 and verse 21. And then go back to Psalms 22 and verse 12. Psalm 69, 21.
God, Psalm chapter 69 and verse 21. They gave me also gall for my meat.
Right.
And in my thirst, they gave me vinegar to drink.
Right. Go to Psalms 22 and 12. So you see how David is prophesying these things in the spirit. These things didn't happen to David. That's the thing. These things didn't happen to David. He was prophesying about Yahushua, man. He was in the spirit. Psalm 22 and 12.
Psalm chapter 22 and verse 12. My bulls have compassed me.
Many bulls.
Excuse me. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me around. Excuse me. Have beset me round. They gaped upon me with their mouths as a raven and as a roaring lion.
Come on.
I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joints.
Read. My
heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potter's...
like a potsherd.
A potsherd. And my tongue cleaveth to my jaws. And thou hast brought me into the dust of death.
Come on.
For dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands.
They did what?
They pierced my hands.
This is when they put him on that cross and put them stakes through his hands. Now you got to think about that also. I'm about 210 pounds. I'm not light. Now, imagine if someone took a nail and drove it through my hand, is that going to keep my body weight up? So how big did those stakes have to be to go through his hands? How long, how thick did they have to be to go through his hands and keep his body weight up? Remember, by the time they propped him up, he was basically half dead. He couldn't hold himself up. Right? Busted up lungs, bleeding everywhere, so he had no strength. So basically he was hanging on by those nails. Imagine how thick those stakes, how strong, how long they had to be. And they beat those just through his hands. To the point where, didn't it say that when he appeared to the apostles, they put their hands through his hands? Through the holes of his hands to show that he was really him?
Yeah, Thomas.
Thomas put his fingers through the holes of his hand. Not one finger. It was more like 2 or 3. Like, damn. that's really him. How big were those stakes? And then they drove him through his feet. And you know how they show it, how it's 1 foot on top of the other. It wasn't feet spread, it was 1 foot on top of the other. And they drove a stake through it. How long did that stick? Put 1 foot on top of your other foot. And that gives it some height, some depth. So for a stake to go through that, or a nail, or whatever they called it, to go through that and hold his body weight, you got to really think about that, man. That had to be excruciating pain. Go ahead.
And my feet, verse 17. I may tell all my bones. They look and stare upon me. They part my...
he felt it. Listen, he felt all the pain, man. There was no hiding from that. There was no hiding from that. There was no, I'm going to get drunk real quick and try to get some of this pain off me. He felt that in all parts of his body. Go ahead.
They part my garments among them.
Right.
And cast lots upon my vesture.
Go back to Isaiah 53 and verse 5.
Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions.
Go ahead.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
Read.
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
Read verse 6.
And with his stripes we are healed. Verse 6. We are all like sheep. We like sheep have gone astray. We have turned away. We have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Right, because ain't that what happened? Everybody went their way. All the apostles. Right? And all the apostles scattered. Everybody went their way while he dealt with the iniquity of the damn world. While he was getting probably 5 foot stakes shoved through his hands, everybody else was gone, man. You see Peter denied him. Right? Peter was like, I don't know him. He was cussing and screaming that he didn't know him. Read verse 7.
He was oppressed. And he was afflicted.
Come on.
Yet he opened not his mouth.
Read.
He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah, because when they were questioning him in front of the high priest, he didn't say a word, man. He just sat back. Like, hey, you saying I did this, you calling me this, you calling me that. He didn't try to fight and say I'm not guilty, I know my rights, right? He didn't do the I know the law thing, I'm sovereign. He didn't do any of that, man. He was like a sheep to the slaughter. Go ahead.
As a sheep before the shears is dumb, so he opened not his mouth.
Go to John 6 and 64.
St. John chapter 6 and verse 64.
Right, so one of the things that Yahushua had to also deal with, and I kind of just put it in a different order, but he had to deal with the betrayal. So we know he got whooped for our transgressions, but he had to deal with that betrayal. Read that.
St. John chapter 6 and verse 64.
Go ahead.
But there are some of you that believe not.
Right.
For Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were.
Wait, when did he know?
From the beginning.
He had just found out.
From the beginning.
He was shocked that they betrayed him.
From the beginning.
Come on.
He knew who they were that believed not.
Right.
And who should betray him.
Read. So he knew from the beginning. Yahushua knew all things from the beginning, man. Read on.
And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it were given unto him of my Father.
Right, read.
From that time, many of his disciples went back, and walked no more with him. And Yahushua said unto the 12, will ye also go away? And Simon...
You also going to betray me? You going to dip out because you don't like what I'm saying? You going to give me up? Read.
And Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life.
Come on.
and we believe and are sure that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living power.
Read on.
Yahushua answered them, have not I chosen you 12?
Think about it. He said, have I not chosen you 12? Because he did. He said he had many apostles, but he chose 12 out of the apostles. Read.
And one of you is a devil.
And one of you is what?
A devil.
Go ahead.
He spake of Judas Iscariot, son of Simon.
Go to Luke 22 and verse 21. Somebody else get Matthew 26. 23. Let's finish it up. Luke 22 and 21.
Luke chapter 22, verse 21.
Go ahead.
But behold, the hand of him that betrayed me is with me on the table.
Right. So, if Yahushua had to deal with the betrayal from the one that's sitting at the table with him, what do we got to go through? I remember the beating, the plucking out the beard, the spitting on, all that. He went through that because you wouldn't. He knows that we ain't going. He knows it. He went through that because that was the ultimate sacrifice. He gave that blood in more ways than one. But betrayal, that's still on the table. That's still on the table. A lot of us don't want to go through that betrayal, man. So what do? You try to point out people's intentions. You try to point out their agenda. Man, you fake, you this, you that. We don't know. Yahushua said he chose Judas. He was a damn devil from the beginning. Why did he choose Judas? And why did he let him roll with him for so long? Well, because he was trying to give him a chance to change. He was trying to give him a chance to change his ways, but that was up to Judas. But it wasn't up to Yahushua to say, well, you're going to betray me, you can't roll, because guess what? Another Judas would have popped up and fulfilled that role. Y'all see that? Matthew 26:23.
Matthew chapter 26, verse 23. And he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me.
Right, go ahead.
The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him.
You see that? He said, listen, I'm going to go as it is written of me. The betrayal ain't going to stop me from doing my job. You got to see what he's saying here. He said, and he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me is at the dish, and the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. I'm not going to stop doing my purpose because of false brethren. Right? Like, go to 2 Corinthians real quick. 11 and verse 26.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26.
Read it.
In journeying often.
Right? This is Paul talking about what he had to endure in his sufferings under Yahushua. Go ahead.
In perils by mine own countrymen, in perils by the heathen.
Right.
In perils in the city.
Read.
In perils in the wilderness.
Read.
In perils in the sea.
Come on.
In perils among false brethren.
Among who?
False brethren.
Among who?
False brethren.
Because false brethren and false sister are always going to be there. There's always, listen, I don't know what y'all thought, but there's always going to be a Judas. There's always going to be a Judas. Is it you? You want to make sure you're not the Judas. That's it. There's always going to be a Judas, but who is it? Well, I'm not going to look at you and say you're Judas, or you and say you're Judas. I don't know. You become Judas when your works match up to Judas. But up until that time, we got to go as the Most High tells us to go. But what does it say back in Matthew's? Read verse 24. He said, the Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. Read.
But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed.
Right. He didn't say, I'm going to go point the nigga out and put him on blast. He just said, woe to that man. I'm going to keep doing my job, just like we got to keep doing our job. Stop trying to predict and dictate. But you got to let a man walk his path. You got to be ready for that betrayal. and know that Satan desires that every man, he wants to sift us. He wants to sift us all. Like how he wants to sift Peter, to make Peter betray Christ all the way. See, the one thing, Peter didn't deliver up Christ like Judas did. So his betrayal or his rejection of Christ wasn't on the same level and scale. Read on.
It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
Read.
Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. And as
right, go to Psalm 69 and 4. Psalm 69 and 4, read it.
Psalm chapter 69, verse 4. They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of mine head.
You see that? You're going to have people that hate you more than the hairs of your head, man. You got nations that hate you. The white man hates you. They hate your black lips. They hate your black gums. They hate your skin because it's black. They hate your hair because it's black. They hate the word black. They hate you. You can't number the nations that hate you, but just do know that they hate you. But what does that mean? That, oh, they hate me, I give up? Oh, they hating on us, so we got to stop. We can't teach. We ain't going to show up for class because they hate. They see me hating. No, what? They see me rolling. They hating. Right? Some of us riding dirty. Right? We riding in the spirit, man, and they see it, but it can't stop us. We got to go. Like he said, the Son of Man goeth as it is written of him.
God.
It's written of us to go teach this word, man. It's written of us to follow through in the suffering. It's written of us to follow Christ's sufferings. Right?
God.
Go from there. Another thing that Yahushua had to suffer was loss. He had to lose everything. Go to 2 Corinthians 8:9. 2 Corinthians 8:9, Luke 9 and 58.
2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9. For ye know the grace of our Lord Yahushua.
So it's a grace to lose.
Wow.
Read.
That though he was rich.
That though he was rich.
Though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor.
Right. So when they look at you like, oh, your Jordan game ain't up no more. Your shoe game ain't there. You used to dress a certain way.
God.
But I'm giving that up because it's for the sake of my people. I can't be balling and living out of control and my people's hurting. That don't even, come on, man. That don't even look right. That don't even make sense. Now you're just a preacher. Now you're just Joel Osteen. Talking about your prayer commitment or your prayer payment ain't there. Some chick asked Joel Osteen for some prayers. He hit her back like she hasn't paid for the prayer package. What the hell?
Oh, that happened?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say how real it is, but I seen the thing that she hit up Joel Osteen's account. Like, hey, can you pray for me? And he responded back like, you haven't paid for the prayer package, so we can't pray for you. Like, what the hell?
Wow.
That's what they on, man. Read on.
That ye through his poverty might be rich.
You see that? That ye through his poverty might be rich. Go to Luke 9:58.
Luke chapter 9 and verse 58. And Yahushua said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests.
Now aren't all these things, when you read in Matthew 6, it said he clothed the birds, he feed them, he give the dandelions, right? He give them water and food. But now Yahushua is coming back like, wait a minute, the foxes got holes, the birds got nests. Read.
But the Son of Man have not where to lay his head.
Why? Because he wasn't concerned with where I'm going to lay down, eat, sleep, drink. He was concerned about doing the will of the Most High. The concern wasn't on himself, on his physical body. That's why he was warning this man. This man was like, listen, I'll follow you wherever you go. He was like, be careful what you ask for because I ain't got no place to lay my head. I'm busy. I be about my Father's business. Go Philippians 3 and 7. And this is how we got to look at it, man. This is how we got to look at loss and rejection and sorrow and pain. This is how we got to accept it. I sent it to you. Oh, go ahead, read.
Philippians chapter 3 and verse 7.
Read it.
But what things were gained to me, those I count loss for Christ.
Right, so whatever you did gain, when it was time to lose it, for Yahweh Shai, it shouldn't even have been an issue. Got the new car? Lose the new car. Right? Grand opening of a mall, grand closing 2 days later. Right? Hey, get the rib, she wings out, lose the rib. But as long as you stay faithful to Yahweh Shai, it don't matter what you lose, you can always get back. And it don't matter what you get back, you can always lose. It's all to see where do you stand in your fight, in your battle, in your trial. Am I going to conform and change because I don't have certain things? Well, my woman left me, so my duty stops. Well, I don't got a car no more, so I got to stop teaching, stop learning. This is because you ain't got a car don't mean you stop learning how to read. Like all of a sudden your reading comprehension is out the door because your rib left. That don't make sense. Because the bank account ain't as fat as it used to be. All of a sudden your reading skills go from 12th grade to 3rd grade. Nah. You got to strive even more. Read on.
Verse 8. Yeah, doubtless.
Without a doubt. Go ahead.
I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach.
Right, and the knowledge that we're getting is that we gotta suffer, man. We gotta suffer, but we have to overcome through the wisdom. So now that we know that, how do we handle the things that we all just read about? How do we handle them? Well, go to 1 Peter's. Go to 1 Peter's 2:21. Somebody else get Mark.
Come on. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Yahweh Shai also suffered for us.
So we were called because Yahweh Shai suffered for us, read.
Leaving us an example.
Wait, so he just left and didn't tell us anything?
Leaving us an example.
He gave you the blueprint. Read.
That ye should follow his steps.
Right, all you gotta do is follow his steps. All you gotta do is follow his steps. It'll make the suffering that much more easier. What were the steps that he left? Well, unity, brotherhood, long suffering, charity. Agree with thy neighbor, agree with thy adversary quickly. If you hate your brother in your heart, if you look at a woman in your heart for lust, you commit adultery. All these things he gave us was the pattern and the example on how to suffer as a Christian and not as a murderer, adulteress, evildoer. Go to Acts. Go to Acts 20 and verse 22.
Acts chapter 20, verse 22.
Now, this was Paul, man. Paul was the example of how to walk like Christ and keep it moving. Read.
And now, behold, I go bound in the spirit.
Wait, he said do what?
I go bound in the spirit.
See, it was about being in the spirit and being bound to the spirit. This is how we endure. This is how we overcome. Being bound to the spirit, come on.
Unto Jerusalem.
Read.
Not knowing the things that shall befall me there.
We're not going to know what's going to befall us on a day-to-day basis. But does that stop us? Read on.
Come on, verse 23. Save that the Holy Spirit witnesseth in every city, saying that bonds and afflictions abide me.
Go ahead.
But none of these things move me.
You see, it's a witness of the Spirit that there's going to be bonds and afflictions no matter where we go. But he said what?
But none of these things move me.
Yeah, man, I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. I'm going to go wherever I got to go to do this work. Read on.
Neither count I my life dear unto myself.
You see how Paul was rolling? It's like, man, my life I'm not counting it dear. Because I know that I'm being used for a purpose. My life is nothing without this purpose. Go ahead.
So that I might finish my course with joy.
Read.
And the ministry
which
I have received of the Lord, Yahushua, to testify the gospel of the grace of the Most High.
You see that go to Hebrews 12 and verse 2. Now, I have said it earlier that there was a specific scripture that talked about Yahushua going through, dealing with all the grief and pain and suffering up until the death and taking it joyfully. Because his mind wasn't on the sorrow. His mind wasn't on the pain. Here it is. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 2.
Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 2.
Read.
Looking unto Yahushua, the author and the finisher of our faith.
Why? Because he gave us the example on how to go through the sorrows, how to go through the loss, how to go through the betrayal. And even if it got physical, he gave us the example on how to deal with that. Read.
Who for the joy.
Who for the what?
Who for the joy.
Go ahead.
That was set before him. Endured the cross.
He meditated on the shame.
Endured the cross.
He tried to back out of his purpose.
Endured the cross.
Said he endured the cross, man. That's right. Read on.
Despising the shame.
Read.
And is set down at the right hand of the throne of the Most High.
Read on.
For consider him that such endured.
So it says, for consider him that endured such contradictions of sinners against himself. So let's say, listen, consider the things that Yahushua went through. All the things that people came up against him. It said, consider him. Why? Read.
Lest ye be weary and faint in your hands.
You what?
Lest you be weary and faint in your mind.
This is how you know Yahushua didn't faint in the mind and get weary. Because it said, look at him. He'll show you how to not get weary and faint. Because when you think about, damn, they spit in his face, they smacked him, okay, I can deal with that. But damn, they start pulling his beard and pulling his hair out. Wow. Okay, then they did that. Then they undressed him, mocked him. While he's bleeding out from the beard and the head and spit. I mean, they probably, man, listen, they probably peed on his feet. They probably did all types of filthy things. These nations are garbage.
Done.
Use your imagination, man. You think, oh, we're just going to spit and smack them? And they were probably doing all types of, trying to do some defiled things. Because they treated him like he was garbage. So you think about all that, then you're like, damn, okay, I don't know about that. But then they scourged him. They didn't say they scourged him, but they know it wasn't just 2 lashes and you're done. And Paul was getting 40 stripes. You think Yahushua wasn't catching double, triple, beating them to half the way, a string of his life? The cat of 9 tails. Then you got to carry that cross while you bleed. Then they trying to give you water and poison to drink. Man, before we even read it, you see the look on brothers and sisters' faces like, we don't want to read this. You already fainted in your mind having to read it. I told the sister to pull up an image. She was like, she looked at me like she almost fainted when I said we're going over the sufferings of Christ. She was like, I can't look that up. I can't look that. I don't want to look at that. God. But think about it. We have to look at that. And we have to look at these examples so that we don't get weary in the mind. So that we don't turn to drugs, alcohol. We don't turn to other devices to try to soothe your trial that you got to go through. The alcohol ain't going to save you, man. The running away ain't going to save you. Look at Jonah.
Comfort zone ain't gonna save you.
There's no comfort zone built for what we got to go through. You got to feel it in all your bones. You got to feel it in every fiber of your being. You have to. Think about when you catching that sorrow, man, that real hell. And your whole body is just aching. You're like, damn. You know what you do? Multiply that 100 times and you'll know what Yahushua went through. Multiply just the feeling in your body 100 times and you'll be like, okay, I'm there now.
When you said feel that in your body, that pain in your body, your bones, I thought about the pain that when my back messes up.
Yeah.
I just like, it's like, oh, just take me.
Yeah, but amplify that when the skin on your back, is being ripped from the muscle. 9 lashes at a time. Magnify that, man. See, we don't understand. Go to the 2 Corinthians.
Can you finish reading that last part though?
Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 4.
Read verse 3.
Verse 3.
For
consider him that endured such
he endured such contradiction.
He
endured that. He didn't faint at that and pass out and die and just give up. He endured the contradiction of sinners. Go ahead.
Against himself.
Read.
Lest we be wearied and faint in your mind.
Read verse 4.
Ye have not resisted unto blood.
See, this is the thing. That's why Yahushua comes back and says, for your light affliction. He said, you have not suffered under blood, striving against sin. Because we ain't gonna have to go through this, man. Not right now, at least. At least it's gonna be more, put a bullet in them and that be that. You know, they might start shooting brothers later on in the future. But they ain't gonna put you through this torment. They just lock you up, put a bullet in you. That be that. Take your Bible. No more Bibles. Better get it in your head.
Gone.
But it says you have not suffered unto blood. You have not resisted unto blood. You ain't bleeding. You ain't bled. You ain't sweat. You ain't cried for this truth. A lot of us haven't, man. Some have. But not in this way. It says you have not, read it again.
Ye have not resisted unto blood.
Right?
Striving against sin.
Yeah, man. You ain't bleeding when you sin. You're not suffering blood trying to strive to not sin. Because you got that grace. We got that grace. Go to 2 Thessalonians 1 and verse 4.
2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 4.
And if somebody else gets 2 Corinthians 4 and 8, that'll be it. Read.
So that we ourselves glory in you in the churches of the Most High.
Read.
For your patience.
For your what?
Patience.
Come on.
And faith in all your persecutions.
Some of the persecution.
In all your persecutions.
You see, the glory is in the patience and faith in your persecutions. Read on.
And tribulations that ye endure.
That you endure. That you overcome. Read on. Verse 5.
Which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of the Most High.
Read.
That ye may be counted worthy.
That what?
That ye may be counted worthy.
Come on.
Of the kingdom of the Most High.
Read.
For which ye also suffer.
What do we suffer for? The kingdom. Read verse 6.
Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
Go ahead, read on.
And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels.
Read on.
In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High.
Read on.
And that obey not the gospel of the Lord Yahushua.
Right, because the gospel is to go through the sufferings. Follow through in the sufferings. The ones that are going to catch this flaming sword and vengeance. He said, if you deny me, I'm going to deny you in front of the Father. He said, but if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. Go to 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 8.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 8.
And this is what we always got to keep in mind, man, that no matter what we go through, physically, mentally, it's always a battle. It's always a fight. It's always an attack on us because of who we are. It's always an attack on Israel. No matter what. There's never a time of ease, man. There's, like he said in Micah 2:11, this is not your rest. This ain't the rest, man. No matter what. You might think you chilling, but there's always an attack on the mind. Read.
2 Corinthians chapter 4
and verse 8.
And verse 8.
Read.
We are troubled on every side.
Are we not? Khan, as a nation, we are troubled on every side. There's always something trying to come at us as a people. Psalms 83. Deuteronomy 28. We are troubled on every side. Read.
Yet not distressed.
But we don't got to be stressed about it. Why? Because we have the example of Christ. We don't got to be weary in the mind. Go ahead.
We are perplexed.
We are what?
Perplexed.
Come on.
But not to despair.
Not in despair. Read verse 9.
Persecuted, but not forsaken.
You see that? Even though we go through the persecution, just like Christ, was Christ forsaken? Well, everybody looked at him like he was. He was smitten of God and forsaken. But we are, it says we're what?
Persecuted.
Uh-huh.
But not forsaken.
Read on.
Cast down.
Read.
But not destroyed.
Read verse 10.
Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Yahushua.
We always do what?
Bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Yahushua.
Yeah, when we follow Yahushua, we always bear about in our body his death. Through all the things that we go through. Read on.
That the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our body.
Yeah, so when you catching that hell, when you catching that persecution, when you feeling cast down and lost, when you feeling beat down and oppressed and persecuted on every side, there it is. That's you suffering the lashes. That's you suffering the sorrow. That's you bearing about in your body as best as you can the sufferings of Christ. But we got to endure that, man.
Okay.
We have to endure that. We got to look at the examples. Finish it up.
For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahushua's sake.
Right? Because it can happen at any moment. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled, man. Satan is like a roaring lion looking for who he can devour. Go ahead.
That the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death worketh in us.
That's it. Was that verse 11?
I started on 12.
That's it on that. Anybody got any questions?
La.
Anything online?
La, sir.
Yeah, I took y'all over a little bit. But remember, man, you got to read these scriptures and really look at it and understand what this life is about. It ain't always about sorrow. It ain't always about pain and suffering. But it's there. It's there, man. We got to prepare for it. We got to go through it. We got to deal with it. It ain't always joy. It ain't always pain. There's a time and place. But you got to remember and prepare for the different times and different places. All right. So we're going to end it there. If you got questions, just hold them until Wednesday. We'll get to them. We thank everybody for joining us, for sticking through. Long 3-hour class, I know. There was a lot of reading. Hopefully, man, we do a lot of these classes, man. Hopefully brothers and sisters is really getting something from them. I mean, I hope so. I enjoy putting this one together. I had this one hiding in the it was hiding in my clip. You know what I'm saying? I put this one together before Passover. I just had it. Just waiting. So, yeah, man,
I can't wait to watch that.
Hopefully, like I said, man, hopefully, we learning something from it. I had fun putting it together. And, even just putting that together, it gives you a different perspective over the years. When you read something, you read it a year later, your perspective changes. You know what I mean? The wisdom grows, and you just like, damn. And you look at things more in depth. You're able to look at the top, the bottom, the side, the front, the back. You're like, wow. So it even put a different perspective on things for me putting it together. But yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. What's that?
It makes me think about, like, when I want to complain about something that I think I'm suffering through.
Yeah.
It makes you rethink that, because it's not, our suffering is like nothing compared to what Yahushua went through, but
Right, but
because of because of what he went through, our suffering is a lot less.
Right. That's the whole point. Our suffering is a lot less because of what he went through. You have not suffered unto blood striving against sin. Like Yahushua literally took the sins of the world and then died for it. Check this out real fast. It comes up. Go to 2 Corinthians real quick. 2 Corinthians 4. Go to 4 and 16. Read that.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 16. For which cause we faint not.
You see that? For which cause we faint not. Come on.
But through our outward man perish.
Right? Because that's what's happening. That outward man is perishing. Right? Putting off the old man, putting on the new. Go ahead.
Yet that inward man is renewed day by day.
Read.
For our light affliction.
But how does it happen? It happens through the light affliction. The things we go through. Read.
Which is but for a moment.
Is for when?
For a moment.
See, that light affliction is for a moment. Just like how Yahushua's heavy affliction, it was for a moment. It didn't last forever. But it's in our light affliction, and because we do think like, man, I'm catching hell for Christ. Oh, girl ain't hollering at me because I'm a Hebrew. You're not catching hell for Christ because a chick won't holler at you because you got a beard. That ain't catching hell. But for some people, that's their hell. That's why he said for your light affliction. Go ahead.
Worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
Right, read on.
While we look not at the things which are seen.
Because we were talking about this earlier. Why do people leave? Because they're looking at the things that are seen. They want to look at the things they can see, touch, and hold. Read.
But at the things which are not seen.
Right, we're looking at that eternal glory, that crown. You can't see that right now. Some of us can. That's why we fight. You just can't touch it. Read.
For the things which are seen are temporal.
Yeah, all the things you can see and touch, they're temporal. They're temperate. They're temporary.
Sir.
We're not fighting for the corruptible crown, but the incorruptible. Read.
But the things which are not seen are eternal.
God, the things that we don't see are eternal, man. So we just got to remember that. Definitely got to remember that. But we'll end it there. I can go all night. We'll end it there. We thank everybody for joining us. If you got any questions, just hold them until Wednesday. We'll get to those. Yeah, we thank everybody, man, for being patient, for listening, for coming to learn. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the help brothers and sisters been giving us, all right? So with that, we're going to end it. We're going to say shalom. Let's salute them. Say shalom.
Shalom.
We'll see y'all back on Wednesday.
This is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, it's Yahushua. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception. Along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod. And not the son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias.